Cubby blue blood flowing through our veins. Sitting in the bleachers in the rain. We've shed a million tears and drank as many old-style beers out at the game. Let's go, Cubby, Son Ranto.
Michael Cotton.
Son Ranto.
Michael Cotton.
Son Ranto and the lovable Lucy.
Muchos Golly.
Son Ranto.
Michael.
Son Ranto.
Cotton.
Son Ranto and the lovable Lucy.
Michael Cotton.
Son Ranto.
Muchos Golly.
Now that is the sound of a man whose team, if the season ended today, would be going to the playoffs.
Well, I mean, end of season tournament.
Yeah.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Oh my God. Well, welcome to the
I think you got to play into the playoffs now. I don't even know how the playoffs even work anymore.
We'll explain it to you. We'll explain it to you later. I know it takes you a second on some of these math quizzes that we got going. Welcome to the Son Ranto Show, brought to you by our 115 Patreon supporters and Blake Beard's tickets. Get the best seats in the house if you contact at the Blake Beard on Twitter. Rogue Wave Creative for your branding and graphic design needs, and the Cubs PS Plus podcast, a Northside numbers game. As always, hashtag Chance in the chat, and you can win a Frank Chance postcard sent to you by me with a message of love and doom. We're going to be giving away the Frank Chance postcard at the end of the show. You'll be entered to win a yearly prize. And later on, speaking of prizes, the Amazon prize of the month is going to be given out, this cute little Cubs guy thermos. If you shop through our links our Amazon links at sonranto.com/stuff, you are entered to win this beautiful little cute thermos. And later on in the show, we're going to have Billy DeVore talk about the Red Series. He's from the new Nasty Boys. Emily Townley, will be her first time on our show. She's a big Braves fan. She's going to come on and talk about the series that we just took 2 of 3 with the Braves. And Uncle Mike is coming on to talk Mets at the end of the show because that's where we're going to New York. But hey, IFG, Michael Cotton, what's everybody drinking? What do you got, IFG?
I have from Level Beer in Portland, Oregon. I have their Skyward Strike. So for all the millennial video game fans out there, we're looking all like the original Zelda game with the gold cover.
I even knew that.
Beer Skyward Strike.
I'm Gen X, and I knew that was Zelda. You know that.
Well, of course, Gen X. That is one of our.
That is a Gen X
games.
video game. I'll admit that.
As big as it is now, it's only because all these kids' parents, which is us, like showed them the original. I logged some serious hours on 64, the Ocarina of Time.
Dude, I can do a 0 death run of Ocarina of Time without half trying.
I have no idea what you guys are talking about, but
well, I have a Rivertown Brown from Dual Citizen Brewery. I have no idea where this is from, but I got it when I was up in Minneapolis. Very good for a brown beer. It's chocolatey. Nice. It's perfect for the rainy day that we're having today. It's like colder and it's rainy, so you want your nice, dark, chewy, yummy beer. I
felt like, I know what you mean about the weather. I felt like I was in Gorillas in the Mist in the bleachers today, just like such misty rain. I felt like I was in a rainforest. It was the strangest kind of sensation. Bill Siggis writes in, I ruined Thanksgiving week one year playing the original Legend of Zelda. Wait, we got to hear that story. Maybe in the post-show chat tonight, if Bill could stay up with us, we'll hear all about how Bill ruined Thanksgiving. And then maybe I'll tell you about how I ruined Christmas one year. So I am drinking yerba mate from the company Rosa Monte, and they're out of Argentina. I've got my little bombilla. Normally I should have a gourd, but since the Cubs are now a playoff team, I've got a playoff mug. And I like what Terry E says in the chat about Michael Cotton's Rivertown Brown beer. Terry E says, I had Rivertown Brown once. The antibiotics helps.
Yes.
But
yeah, the Rivertown Brown is nothing to be messing around with.
Well, speaking of taking a total shit, why don't we bring Billy DeVore onto the show? Our Reds fan friend to talk from the new Nasty Boys to talk about the Cincinnati Reds. And Billy, take the floor. What the hell's going on with the Cincinnati Reds? They just keep losing. You just got swept by the Nationals. You lost 3 or 4 from the Cubs. We beat you by 87,000 runs.
How the mighty have fallen. A couple half the Cubs fans were talking about jumping ship to follow how the fun new Reds. What happened?
You know what? I still think the Reds are fun. They're just second place fun versus first place fun.
Third place fun now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I guess we're up by like 0.0
points,
something. Yeah.
Well, first of all, one of Cincinnati's nicknames is Rivertown Brown, so that checks out. I came on here with the hubris.
The Rivertown Reds, because that's when your Brown is escalated to the next level.
Yeah, you better see a doctor.
Yeah, exactly. You better check into urgent care, partner. I came on here with the hubris hotter than 1,000 suns, talking shit, and coming on here like I was Eric Wheelo, only to be brought back to planet Earth. And boy, howdy, it was rough. It was like they were going into the trade deadline psyched, and all this talk of them being buyers, making moves, and all we did was go shopping and pick up a Sam Mall, and that was it. And I think that was a little deflating to the boys. So that didn't help. There's a few little things, like defensively, I had never seen him play that bad. It was that was something else. Nick Senzel with 3 errors at third. Yeah. He looked like he was playing with one of his arms taped behind his back.
Well, and earlier in that game, he had made like a pretty spectacular play. And, and I'm listening to the Reds broadcast, and they were, raving about him. And then the wheels fell off over there.
Yeah, he was supposed to be a franchise-changing pick when we got him in 2016. Instead, we're still waiting for him to do anything. Like, stay healthy would be cool. But
he hasn't actually played a whole bunch over there at third this year.
No, because they tried to make him a center fielder, and then he was like, hey, I've never played the outfield. And they were like, too bad. Figure it out.
I don't know what you're talking
about.
How
hard could it be?
Come on.
What team out there would ever consider taking a third baseman and not playing him at third base? That doesn't make any sense to me at all.
I've never seen that happen in my life.
No baseball team would do something so foolish except the Reds. Well, let me say, you weren't the only guy feeling some hubris before the series, because I don't know if you saw Natty Sports. He said, get them cocky, then beat the fucking shit out of them tomorrow and Thursday for a series win, then talk a lot of shit to their fans. Smells like roses to me. I'm like, dude, like, just
that smells like Rivertown Brown now.
No kidding.
There was a lot of cockiness coming in, and hey, you were right to, and especially after the first game, because frankly, Stroman, and we got to talk about this a little bit with Marcus Stroman. It was his last start first because he goes to Illinois. He is on the IL now. He's hurt, and this was the trade deadline day. And so I don't know if they're shopping him because we don't get the qualifying pick offer or whatever, qualifying offer pick. And so, like, he goes out there, he sucks again. He gives up 6 freaking runs. Then we find out he's injured and his hip hurts, which means one of 2 things. Either he was injured this whole time and that's why he sucked, which means his trade value is going away for 2 reasons. A, he sucks. B, he's hurt. And then C, now we have him, but hurt. I mean, so I don't know. We can talk about that in a little bit. But he was terrible. The series gets off to a terrible start for us. You guys, and I'm willing to throw in the towel at this point. Well, obviously it's the Reds' year or whatever it is. But
to be fair, it was only bad for those first few innings. And then the Cubs started.
When Stroman was pitching.
Right. And then Stroman left. And then the Cubs fought back and just couldn't make it all the way back. But from that point on, from the point that Stroman left that game, The
It was all Cubs.
Cubs scored like 46 runs, I think.
I have a question, and IFG, I want you to, I think that you have intuition about this kind of thing. Do you think Stroman is actually hurt? Or do you
Yes.
think, okay. Do you think the Cubs knew he was hurt? Follow-up question. No, you think Stroman was just like, I'm fine. Interesting.
Yeah.
We had this conversation in the bleachers today.
And I'm on the opposite side of that. Go ahead, IFG. You state your case, and then I'll talk.
No, Marcus Stroman puts a lot of personal pride in how well he takes care of his body and the fact that he's almost never injured. And I think if he were hurt, especially as close to the trade deadline, trying to keep up his personal value, he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year, potentially. All of these things, I don't think he would want to let anybody know that he was hurt. I think that he would want to play through it as much as possible and continue to succeed, and then worry about resting after the trade deadline. And I just don't think that he was able to hack it all the way through. I think if they had known he was injured, they would have found excuses to give him time off or something like that so that he wouldn't have the opportunity to go out there and blow it.
Well, and let us know in the chat what you think as well. I'd love to hear everybody chime in on this because it is a secret. What do you think, E.E. Cubbings? What do you think? You think he's faking it, or that it's a fake IL stint, or you think it's
no? I agree with IFG as far as that goes. I do believe Stroman might be the guy that's going to say, I'm fine, and just keep going. But here's the thing. The Cubs, medical staff sucks. They've always sucked. They're so bad all the time. And they know when these things are happening. And they, okay, if I go ask Marcus Stroman if he's hurt and he says no, and then I go, it's interesting. Because when you load on your back, when you're winding up here, you look a little off. And he's like, and it's not like if that had happened one start, all right, give him the benefit of the doubt. This has been 4 starts.
Well, and Dominic says this. Think he's been hurt since London.
This is their entire job, is to know what their players can and can't do and what they look like when they're hurt. So I do believe that they knew he was hurt, but I think maybe they just were like, well, hey, he says he's fine, so that means he's fine, because they also wanted to trade him. But that's the stupidest thing you could do, because he's never going to make it through that trade window.
Well, if he's really hurt and he's pitching badly, who the hell's going to want him? And so,
and even if they do trade for him and they put him through some tests and they're like, dude, why can't you throw? And he goes, oh,
my hip hurts.
Nothing. And then they find out his hip is all jacked up.
I know we all really want to believe in our heart of hearts that the people who have jobs are the best people to be doing them and that they're all really smart and good at what they do. But let's bear in mind that Anthony Rizzo has been playing with a concussion for 2 months, being objectively the worst hitter in baseball in that stretch, and nobody did a damn thing about it.
And literally the only reason that they finally put him on the IL was because they got their big bopper back. It was they still wanted him to stick around because he's he
might bounce back. Who knows? Hey, he's due.
But once Judge comes back, then it's well, I guess we don't necessarily need Anthony Rizzo. Let's put him on the concussion protocol 2 months too late.
Yeah, that's messed up. And and Alfie Campos writes in that says, eat your crow about, hey, let's give Stroman an extension. I still think they should.
I'm not ready to do that now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We're not eating crow on that because Stroman, good pitcher, and having a career year, the way that he pitches should be sustainable. It's a hip thing. It's not an arm thing, shoulder. It's not even knee or ankle.
Well,
you don't hear a lot of hip issues.
The fact is, we need him to come back strong because right now the Cubs are a playoff team, and if we do not have Marcus Stroman healthy and he's out there pitching with an 8 ERA, we got nothing. You know what I mean?
True story.
All right, let's let's gear this back towards Billy. Billy's sitting there. He's like, I want to talk about the Reds. Look,
no, I don't. I do not.
I'll give you something to talk about here.
Okay, hit me.
So, the Reds didn't do much at the trade deadline.
They didn't. Nothing.
Which, understandably, sucks because they really should have. But they do have their pitchers. You guys have two. Don't you have two injured pitchers that will be coming back in the next couple of weeks? And then
we've got 4 guys coming back in the next 2 weeks. Hunter Green, who pretty good at baseball. And then Nick Lodolo, hopefully at the end of the month.
Name for a team called the Reds.
Yeah, exactly. He's only a guy that throws like 104 miles an hour. No big deal. Who was having a really good season. And I believe Lay went to Wrigley and he no-hit the Cubs. Remember that? The 6 innings? That was pretty cool. Hold
on. Billy, I don't think you understand what a no-hitter is.
I said
you
no-hit.
have to get beyond 6 innings.
7. Come on.
I said no-hit. I did not say he threw a no-hitter.
Okay.
See? Technically correct.
He's got a lawyer. He's got a lawyer right off camera.
Meaning he did his job.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me. Am I legally correct? Okay, great. Yeah, we're good. And Nick Lodolo coming back, who's also an electric lefty who is very good when healthy. And then they've got TJ Antone, who's coming back from TJ. I think this is his 3rd time, which is scary. And Vladimir Gutierrez. So you've got 2 dudes that are high leverage bullpen arms, and then 2 starting pitchers. Yeah, it would have been great to add Michael Lorenzen. It literally cost him a bag of chips.
I'll give you 3 of those guys, maybe not the TJ guy. Like, if you're just coming back from TJ and your brain, that one's a little iffy because it still might take him the rest of the season.
He's already pitching. He's already pitching in the minors, right? Like he
just had his second appearance. He just had his second appearance in Louisville. Like he's been in their throwing program that, they send him out to Arizona, they get built back up, and then they go do their rehab starts. So he's probably back next, this week.
Now, actually. Okay, so here's the thing.
Okay.
With what you just saw, they lost 6 straight. Can they hold it together long enough for these guys to come back and bolster this team to maybe have to chase down the Cubs?
Yeah,
because the Cubs are on a rocket ship, baby. We are not looking back. And if you don't get it together quick, you're never seeing anything but the back end of this Cub.
Lest you forget, the Reds also went on their rocket ship.
Clark's pantsless ass.
Clark's pantsless ass is all you can see.
Hell yeah. See his furry hog. There it is.
You're gonna have a new. What we don't see is what's on the back of that shirt, and that's what the Reds are going to be looking at the rest of the season.
Hey, here we go. We haven't been able to talk shit to each other. We're so used to just being bad.
Yeah, both of us. Yeah, both of our teams. Now we're both fighting for that last wild card spot that just recently existed. Is what we're going. The basically the participation trophy of baseball is what we're gunning for right now.
Right.
Well, and then the Brewers are coming back to earth too. They had they won 1 out of their last 4.
Yeah, everybody loses, and they got Woodruff back. So it's like, ugh.
Yeah. Well, the very specific question I have for you is because it wasn't. We have to talk about how the Cubs scored 20 runs.
Sure.
And then they scored 16 the next night. Now, this was not a team that was known for their offense, but I'm going to put up the Cubs' offensive numbers on this week. We traded. We're going to talk about in the third section of the show. We traded for Jeimer Candelario. Instantly makes an impact. Hits a freaking home run. Candelario in the wind. 2 doubles on the week. He's got a 1.5 OPS on the week. Where just every Dansby hits 5 home runs. 2 in 1 game, just totally on fire. But we did it against this guy Lively, got 13 earned off of him. on the Reds. And then it was just like a comedy of errors from then on in from your entire pitching staff.
Yeah.
And so, like, what happened to this guy Lively?
Lively.
So Lively was a journeyman, and like we never expected anything from him. We picked him up off the scrap heap in the middle of April, had a spot start, and then just continued to pitch well enough. So he's just been a Band-Aid to hold over for Hunter Green and Lodolo coming back.
So he's going to get DFA'd.
He probably gets moved to the pen. He had a string of really good starts and then just gave up a historic amount of runs. I mean, that was the first time ever someone had thrown 4+ innings and gave up 13 runs. They just let him eat.
Hang the guy out to dry, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I was listening to the Reds broadcast because the Cubs broadcast is unlistenable. And I'm watching, and they were talking about how what they thought in the booth is that maybe he was actually saying, I'll stay out here and I'll keep going in order to save the pen that had gotten a little bit beat up the night before.
Yep.
So I don't know anything about the guy. They probably know better, but they seem to think that he would have volunteered to take that on the chin until literally they could not let him stay in there.
Correct. And then he goes on the IL because with another it's either pec or bicep strain that bothered him about a month ago. Pecker strain. Yeah.
Pecker strain.
Pecker strain. Yeah. Clark. Yeah, Clark knows it really well. When you don't wear pants, you run into that problem. Bushes. And so that was a bummer. Braden Williamson, though, what was really hard about watching that start was he was hitting in his vertical game, which is he can drop a curveball slider low, hit you high. He was getting none of those calls. I mean, there was one point where he walked off and they were like, "Hey, kid, you're not getting that." He's like, "What the fuck? That's a strike." And after that, he had to work horizontally with his like cutter and fastballs, and that's not his game, and had to adjust mid-plan. So
what was wild to me is that the Cubs hitting 7 home runs in one game, 5 in another. I think it was 5 in the other one. Hap hit 2. I mean, in garbage time, we're like,
yes.
we were facing.
Yeah, Maley gave up 4 of those, right?
Yeah, exactly.
He gave up 5, and I'm like, he's our backup catcher. So when people are like, "Oh, the run differential," I'm not going to buy it when you've got Covington Catholic graduate Luke Maley throwing 44-mile-an-hour eephus pitches. I'm like, no.
Actually, no. That was not his problem. Had he thrown 44 miles per hour, they probably would not have hit it that well. He was actually getting him up there in like the low 70s, like perfect BP pitch. Like, somebody needed to go out there, especially when he had to go out the next night. Like, that was.
Yeah,
how
like,
much
dude,
do you think he's sitting on the end of the bench? Like, don't look at me. Don't.
Yeah. At that point, you've got a guy playing shortstop who throws 99, miles an hour. Why don't they move him over to pitch?
Yeah, but he's throwing these perfect BP pitches at 73. Like, that is a mistake. You gotta barely get that shit up there.
Yeah, we need to find a better, worst pitcher.
Yes, exactly. You can't have a mediocre worst.
Get Joey Votto out there just lobbing meatballs,
Every backup catcher needs to learn a knuckleball or something like that, or just like a sick curveball that just has this crazy spin. You think it's coming right at your head, it just drops right in there. If you can hit it, looks like a 16-inch softball coming in barely, But it was wild because the Cubs were not that team. They were not this offensive juggernaut. We were low in the leagues. So what's interested me is that it felt like we had the Reds number this time. Like, they came in prepared. Like, we have to beat the Reds. We're going to study everything that their pitchers are throwing, and we're going to be ready for it. We're going to know their sequencing. It's like we don't face each other as much during the year. The last time you came to Wrigley, you swept us, and the Cubs were not going to let that happen. After dropping that first game, it felt like there was a certain sort of fire that got lit under the collective asses of the Cubs. And it was cool to see, but there was lost in it all was Smiley sucked again for us. He gave up 5. Like we could have won that Stroh game and everybody would have forgot Stroh sucked. Well, Smiley sucked. He's going out there against the Mets. So like, it's not like our staff's doing great, but when you score 16, 20 runs, then it doesn't matter. But
yeah,
I don't know.
And I'd never seen this young, confident squad be as deflated as they were at game 2, 3, and 4. Like they just looked like they didn't want to be there. They put up runs, but especially that meltdown with Nick Senzel, like defensively, they were just off. It did not seem like they had the confidence and believed in themselves, and that rolled right into the coming back home and getting swept by the Nationals.
Oh, in that 20-run game, they teed off on K, and he's like he's supposed to be an actual pitcher.
Well, not anymore. He got sent down.
Right, he got sent down, but he's like a real pitcher, not a melee guy,
not a belly itcher.
Yeah.
Oh boy, back to Little League.
Pitcher. And they went off on him for 4 runs there at the end, which
yeah, there were some bad performances mixed into it was ridiculous amount of runs. It was historic. I figured, Marquis had something up like since 1898. I'm like, that is not a stat anymore. Like, it was like, when the Chicago Colts played the Cincinnati Brown Rivers or whatever. What's the name of it?
Yeah, the Rivertown Brown.
When they were known as the Rivertown Browns.
Yeah, if you're pulling out stats from a time period where women couldn't vote, it doesn't count.
Right. Right, exactly.
Sorry, that's just it.
No, the other thing, Joey Votto was not terrible. He was actually hitting some dingers. He
had 2 in one game. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. He had a performance there too. That 2-in-1 game would have been wonderful in most any other game.
And they took care of Ellie De La Cruz pretty well. They had him striking out in one in one of the games 3 times, and then in the last game, I'm like, all right, here's where we go down because Tyone gives up a leadoff homer. Also, wasn't great. Only went 5 innings. It's looking for the innings eater. They got 7 hits off him, but he only gave up the 2 runs. So that's like you guys not cashing in. And then the final of that one's 5-3. Like that was a good close game. I mean, the first game and the last game were real close, and then those other ones were just ridiculous. But it's like Steer comes in with a late homer. The Reds trying to climb back in. We got this one more series together, right? And it is a double. There's a double header involved.
Yeah, because we have to make up a game from freaking April.
Yeah,
and this is because of the stupid MLB schedule that 2 division teams can't make up a game from April until the last time in September that they see each other.
I will have gained 20 pounds by the time that we play that game from the start of the season.
You're like, I've been on the Skyline chili diet the entire season. There's no way.
Yeah, I've been eating this thing at the ballpark called a barbecue cone. It makes me sweaty.
Wait, is that ice cream on a barbecue?
Yeah.
No, it's a waffle cone, and they stuff it with mac and cheese, coleslaw, pulled pork. It's awesome.
Oh my God, that sounds amazing.
Yeah,
it really does.
Now, is this something you made up, or is this something that they're selling now?
It's something that they've been selling. That's like a little secret item in the corner at the smoke shack.
What's going on down there in Cincinnati? We got nothing like that at Wrigley.
We don't have much to live for, man. So we'll just try and eat it away. Pour it in.
Well, nobody's worried about the cholesterol level down there. They're just like, let's go for it.
When you're by that brown, sweaty river, it's just everything comes out of your pores and you're good.
So I'm going to put up the NL standings right now and kind of see where everybody's at and what's happening. But Milwaukee still leads the pack. Both the Cubs and the Reds are a game and a half back. And, at 6 straight going to Miami, that's a tough team. They're still in the hunt for it because they're in 3rd place, but they're still close to the wild card. They're only a little bit behind both of our teams, the Cubs and Reds. And then, when you're looking at this right now, and I'll put up the wild card standings right there, like how it would end right now. It's the Cubs and the Reds going for this last spot. From what you saw this week, just a ridiculous amount. Do you feel like the Reds are a defeated team, or do you feel like when these players that you were talking about come back, that's going to be the wind at your sails? And Michael asked, can you hold on and can you not lose 12 straight?
Yeah, and also Jonathan India's been hurt. He went out with plantar fasciitis. I mean, we were willing to move him to get a controllable arm, but that didn't happen. So the January 6th Patriots stays a Red for the rest of the year.
Wait. So I think you guys can all blame India for this, right? Because he faked this plantar fasciitis thing so he wouldn't get traded, and then you couldn't get an arm because of it.
Yeah, and then he proposed to his girlfriend over the weekend, and he was down on one knee, and I was like, "Oh, that foot looks pretty good down there, bud. Looks like it's up and it's holding some weight, huh? Weird."
I've had plantar fasciitis. I would look at the timestamp on that, because if it was anywhere within an hour of him waking up, nope, you're not walking.
No, it was in the afternoon. Trust me, I've had a similar thing. Have you heard of gout?
Danny had some gout.
Yeah, I had some gout. Yeah,
yeah. I love eating my way to an injury. It's pretty cool. Feeling good moving forward. Yeah, if you can stay afloat, I think they can. And they've also got another kid they can call up, Connor Phillips, who needs to get up here, because Andrew Abbott's never pitched this many innings, period, at any level of baseball. So I think he got shelled. He'll make some adjustments, or they might skip a start for him. But like you said, Miami at home, and then Pittsburgh away, Guardians at home, Blue Jays at home, and then a long West Coast road trip, 3 at the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, and then at Arizona for 4, at San Francisco for 3. I feel good enough about it, considering you get those 2 guys back. The bats can get hot again. I think this is just a rough patch. I mean, it sucks that it's against, the Cubs, a divisional matchup, and against the Nats, who suck. God, it's infuriating, but they'll be fine. They're going to come back. It's going to be neck and neck the rest of the year.
It was frustrating. We agree.
Yeah, that's what started your guys' winning streak, was losing to the Nats. And they were like, all right, we're pros. We'll get this together. It was like a wake-up call. So it'll be fine. It'll be neck and neck all the way through. It's exciting that now it's a 3-team race to figure out who's going to win the division, and then who's going to be playing and hosting the wild card round. And then inevitably either one of our teams is going to lose 2 games to the Brewers. Like, that's just what's going to happen. It's all this buildup and excitement just to be, just to have your big brother come over and give you a noogie.
No.
Well, as a lifelong, extremely devoted Seattle Mariners fan on the secondary side of things, I wish you all of the best against the Los Angeles, California Angels of Anaheim.
Yeah.
We'll be able to take care of business.
Yeah, I want the Angels to have made yet another bad decision by not trading Ohtani and saying we're going for it.
Truly the funniest possible outcome of this whole situation.
Yeah. It's insane. It's like Artie Moreno doesn't want to be compared to the guy who gave away Babe Ruth. Well, you're doing something far worse.
Yeah.
You just burned your farm down for 2 months of Ohtani.
Yeah.
Already wasn't good. Like, I mean, when was the last time you think of the Angels developing someone good in the past 5 years?
Yeah, it doesn't happen.
Exactly. Stupid.
I like that comment that was up before about Bill. Bill put up, it says, do you think the Wrigley crowd noise led to some of this? The place was rocking. And it was, absolutely. I think, it's the end of the summer right now. People are trying to get the ball game. It's been packed.
Too soon, Danny. It's not the end of the summer. Come on.
No, it is.
You're killing me.
Because soon, no, I'm telling you, halfway through August, it's over. Because kids are going to go back to school, and there won't be less beer snakes, and the regulars will be back, and the ticket price will be. It doesn't matter if the Cubs are in or not. More people will be there. But once Labor Day hits, it's like doesn't matter. It just won't be as packed. People have other things to do. But like right now, it's like I do feel like the crowd is feeling the momentum, and we've been there all freaking year. waiting for this moment. Like, people saw this team. They saw that they had like all-star performances out of Justin Steele, and that he was neck and neck with Stroh for a while there. They saw that we had Cody Bellinger, a resurgent Cody Bellinger until he got hurt. We saw that that was going well. We saw that, once Christopher Morel came up and they started playing some of the kids, we saw a lot of great things happening. And, we were ready for it. The team was not clicking. And now they finally are against some bad teams. But you play the Reds, who have been in first place. You play the Braves, who we're going to talk to Emily in 5 seconds about this series. You play these teams, and you prove to yourself, especially against the Braves, that you can beat some good teams. And it's not too big for you. I feel totally different about where this team is as far as the clicking goes, as I did when we were sellers 2 weeks ago going to the trade deadline when they were absolutely going to clean house in this situation. But they took care of business, and they forced the hand of Jed. So,
and your schedule looks fairly easy coming up too for the rest of the season. It's not bad.
That's what they say, but I don't buy it. But
well, I mean,
no, Billy, what you're looking at is an entire half a season of trap games.
Yeah. Fall into the trap. Give it to me. No,
pretty much.
Well, yeah. White Sox, Royals, Tigers, Pirates. That's so at the I mean, come on.
Yeah. And then we got the Brewers at the end, and then you guys at Labor Day. So that's going to be wild. I'm going to try everything I can do to make it down there and hang out with you over Labor Day. We got to hit that doubleheader, at the very least.
Yeah.
If we could hit that doubleheader and just have an all-day eating frenzy, I definitely want to eat that waffle cone full of garbage. I'm going to put a Sky Rosa right inside of it too. But and we'll have a Brown River special later on that night.
That's right, baby.
But we're gonna have to take a break, and we'll say goodbye to you, Billy. We'll let you go, and until we meet again, my friend, it's gonna be interesting. We're gonna take a quick break for Patreon, and then we're gonna bring on Emily to talk all about the Braves. Please subscribe to us at patreon.com/sunranto. It's how the show's on the air. Thank you very much, Billy DeVore from the New Nasty Boys.
Thank you, Billy, for coming on.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. All over Chicagoland, there are thirsty, frazzled, overworked Cubs podcasters who are struggling to survive one more baseball season in the dog-eat-dog world of unpaid content creation. But it doesn't have to be this way. You can make a difference. Become a super ranter at patreon.com/sunranto, where your support ensures that poor, sad, pathetic, ugly, loser Cubs podcasters can pay for tickets and beer, and in turn line the pockets of the baseball oligarch Ricketts family. Just $1 a month can buy a scorecard. $5 a month can pay for guitar strings to write a Cubs song. And $10 a month almost buys one beer at Wrigley Field. Cubs content creators are the lowest pieces of pond scum garbage that slither over the face of this planet. But super ranters help them get drunk and screw off at baseball games. What do you get out of it? The Sun Ranto Show delivered to your podcatcher without stupid advertisements like the one you're seeing and hearing right now. Plus, at other Super Ranter levels, you can get Cubs music, access to private Sun Ranto pages, the Ranter calendar, and special thanks and Ranter recognition in our live broadcasts. Plus, eligibility for monthly prizes. What does Sun Ranto get out of it? Your money. For tickets and beer. Go to patreon.com/sunranto. That's patreon.com/sunranto. And become a super ranter today. Welcome back to the Sun Ranto Show. I want to remind everybody, #chance in the chat if you would like to win a Frank Chance postcard sent to you by me with a message of love and doom. Do like Captain Charisma 1988 did and put #chance in the chat right now. And hey, hit the like button. I never tell people to do that, but apparently it may help our algorithmness.
Yeah, and subscribe too.
Yeah, subscribe.
Push all the buttons.
I always forget to say that because I'm like, oh, other podcasters say things like that. I don't want to copy them. Like, go to our podcast page and make a review and hit 5 stars. Like, I never
Other
see
more
that.
successful podcasts do that. We're not, we're not trying to be successful, I guess.
I'm not a sellout trying to sell things to people. You know what I mean? Like Bleacher Bum Band T-shirts or anything. Like I'm not in this for the money, you guys. So I want to welcome a special guest to our show. We met at my theater, Trapdoor Theater, and she worked there, and she was doing some assistant directing and translating Polish, actually. And we just got to talking at one of the opening night parties or something like that about baseball. Found out she's a Braves fan, but like loves the whole league. And we talked for a good hour, I think, about it. So welcome to the show, Emily Townley. Welcome, Emily. Hi.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me.
Hello, Emily.
Hi.
So we beat your team. Two games of 3. It didn't look good at the first sign of it. It's like, you beat us 8-0. You shut us out. We only got 4 hits in that first game. It looked like that we were going to be overmatched for the rest of the series. And then the Cubs fought back and did it. So what did you see in these games? How did it look to you?
First, I will say it's very humbling to exit the concourse when everyone else is singing "Go Cubs Go." It's just a very humbling experience, and I just want to make it air that out right now.
So as much as people say they don't like that song, from an opponent's point of view, it's even worse.
Yeah, no, I usually go there as a neutral fan or support the Cubs, so it's fun when they win. But when you're the opposing team, or when YMCA plays, it's so humbling.
So was that your first? Which games were you able to go to? Apparently either Saturday or Sunday.
I went today.
Okay, yeah, I was at that game today, and I must admit I was adding insult to injury as the Braves fans were leaving. Because they were cheering real loud and stuff, and making cup snakes out in the bleachers with everybody. But I started doing the tomahawk chop, but I wasn't chopping. If you know what I mean, I was doing something else in their face, and but it's a family show, so I won't show you what I was doing to them. But it was, but they were.
Needless to say, Danny's a terrible person.
Yeah, but the funniest part is these freaking morons were carrying the cups, like the cup snake with them. Yeah, and when I was doing that to them, it made them drop all the cups. But to their credit, they stopped and picked them all up and put them in the garbage can. They did not leave it for everybody else to do it. So my hijinks made them drop the cups, but then I made them clean it up. So even more humbling. So you had Braves fans cleaning up garbage at Wrigley. So I was shocked, Emily, when I saw, because the Braves lineup, top to bottom, scary.
It's fantastic. No, I think I could say this without listing off any fancy statistics. We're the best offense in baseball. You see what that lineup is doing consistently every day. It's fantastic. It's without words. Matt Olson, if we did well in this series, or if this was a playoff series or whatever, he would have gotten series MVP or whatever, because that man is just hitting dingers left and right. Of course, there's some spots in the lineup which could use a little tweaking. Our left field, I feel, is the one weaker spot.
Oh, we told him all about himself today. Oh, yeah. Don't worry about that. Pilar got an earful.
What Danny's saying is that they were trying to help him get better. They were pointing out every weakness so that he knows what to work on when he goes back to Atlanta.
Yeah, he needs tighter pants, for example. We told him.
Well, I'm sure he'll take that into consideration. No, but we have a great offense. However, I will say, I think, and I feel like Captain Obvious for saying this, but our rotation is exhausted, and it's apparent in the way Bryce Elder pitched yesterday and the way Uncle Chuck pitched today. Because when you have Max Fried out for most of the season, Kyle Wright out for most of the season, and I want to remind you all that Kyle Wright, I think by the end of the season, he had the winningest record out of all the NL starting pitchers. When you have those two guys out for a majority of the season, Exactly. You dodged a bullet by not facing Spencer Strider. He's starting tomorrow.
Yeah.
No,
and Max Fried
Mhm.
absolutely handled the Cubs
Oh yeah,
on
no,
Friday.
that was a great way to get back into Major League pitching. Major League Baseball was just he needed to have that game because I don't know what else would have happened if he didn't. But
The playoff vibes were there,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I mean, right now the Braves would get the bye
Mhm.
in the playoffs, and the Cubs would be, the team that doesn't really belong there, but that is there. And so
The Cubs barely got the bye at the trade deadline.
I mean, the Phillies didn't belong there last year, and yet look where they went.
Yeah. No, and that's true. And that's the bite at the apple that, all these owners that don't want to spend a lot of money are looking at. They're like, hey, let's go 500. Maybe we get a couple extra games in our hat and we can make the end of season tournament, as we call it on this show. But yeah, Braves top to bottom, the pitching. I mean, and you were leading in all the games, I think. I don't think
At some point. And no, not yesterday. Not yesterday.
Not yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we got the 5-run first.
Oh yeah.
And then
Bryce Elder is an interesting case because he's not superstar quality, but he's consistent. And that consistency has just been going down, and that's what's concerning to me. Because although Max Fried's back, you still have Kyle Wright out, and you still have our good bullpen arms out. Like Jesse Chavez, who would have thunk he'd still have a good season after all these years in the league?
Yeah,
But,
we had him for a while. He was awesome.
Exactly.
He was fun.
He's fun.
He's
a
a great
guy.
he's a great Instagram follow, by
Right.
the way.
He has
Yeah,
funky hats.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. But yeah, you guys are like way more stacked. I mean, I tell you, beating the Braves this weekend, I think made a lot of Cub fans buy into our team.
Mhm.
In a way, like maybe convinced a few more of the doubters. Not, the hopers were always in. But if you were a doubter, you're like, maybe we're not so shitty. This might work out okay. But what you're telling me is that you're hurt and you don't have your guys, and that's why we might have beaten you.
I mean, I don't want to discredit the Cubs because I saw a game back like late June. It was against the Phillies. That was sad to see. But like the thing is, what kept I think the game going was the offense because like you guys never backed down, even when you were down like 8-2 or whatever. I think the final score is like 8-5 or 8-6. Y'all had a drive. And I think that drive is becoming more apparent in players that usually don't produce. Because you have Dansby. I like to joke about Dansby. He either can go golden sombrero one day, or like he turns into the like living reincarnation of peak Barry Bonds or whatever the other day.
That's this week. He hit 5 home runs
Exactly.
this week. He's just on fire.
I'm so glad he didn't hit that grand slam. I did not need media talking heads making the Dansby hit a grand slam over his former team headline or whatever. I did not need that. That would not have been very fun. But Dansby's great, but it's good to see players like I guess Madrigal. I don't know a lot about how he's doing, but he was good. I think this today.
We've always loved him on this show.
Mm-hmm,
We're big fans.
Huge Nick Madrigal fans here.
If you can't detect our sarcasm.
Well, look, okay, so here's the thing. You're telling us that the Cubs beat an Atlanta team that might be a little bit banged up. True, but the team that the Atlanta beat was like the Ross Getaway Day special that he put out there on Friday.
Yeah, what the hell was that lineup? Like
we had a terrible lineup, and this Cubs team, I have been a doubter most of the season, not of the players, but like, good Lord, some of these lineups that we get to see, or some of the stupid things they do, like today with Patrick Wisdom taking Miguel Amaya's spot at first, like weird things like that. Like, I don't know. What I'm saying is Max Fried might have got a little lucky with that lineup that he got to see.
Yeah, I think that might be part of it, but I mean,
I'm absolutely kidding on that because
here's what
it was only like 3 different guys.
Madrigal, Swanson, who went 0-for-3 in that game, and then came out after we were losing by so much, and Morel went and played short. Then you had Happ at third, batting third, going 0 for 4 in that game. Belly was the only one got any hits. He was batting fourth, so that wasn't so bad. But then you had DH as was Gomes. Suzuki, who's been just unplayable, had 2 strikeouts. Candelario had 2 strikeouts. That's the only game he did badly since he's been up. And then you had Wisdom, who's batting 195, and Amaya, who's actually been decent. He's one of the only other hits. So it's like, it's not the most terrible thing in the world that I've seen, but the fact is that Nico Horner was out of there, and Morel didn't play, and Mike Tachman didn't play.
And Madrigal was at the
that's
top of the
surprising.
lineup instead of the bottom. Madrigal's a number 9 hitter. That's where he's been all year long.
He had one of the hits and he took a walk. So he did his job. Madrigal was the least of our problems. The problem was they didn't play Morel until later in the game, and they didn't play Tachman. And there's some weird splits with Morel, and they're actually true. He doesn't do well against lefties, but Tachman doesn't have any such splits. And like, the fact is, Suzuki, they finally did it. He's been on the bench a couple days now, and he needs a huge rest. I don't know what's going on with that guy, but like, he's all messed up. I think they're trying to mess with his swing, and he's just all out of sorts. He did hit a home run off the backup catcher, so you gotta get against the Reds backup catcher. But anyway, yeah, you saw a little bit of a getaway day lineup on that first game, but in the second game, Assad went out there. And I'm so proud of Assad. He's just gone out there and done everything asked of him. So that felt like one that we stole from you, because when I see Assad and we're going to do like a piggyback game, I'm thinking that we'll be lucky if we get out of this without getting blown out, in many respects, because we've been playing every day.
Especially after that 8-0 drubbing that we had the day before. And then you're like, oh my God, we're going to go a bullpen game here. It's going to be rough.
But yeah, Swanson hit a homer in this one. Candelario hit the Candelario in the wind home run. Yeah, I mean, the Braves did get a rally off Leiter Jr., which was a little rare. Like, it was back and forth with the games. They were all quite exciting. It really did feel like playoff baseball. How did you feel today at Wrigley? Did you get that playoff feeling? Or
Oh yeah, definitely. The vibes were off the charts. It was really fun. Yeah, compared to like I said, the Phillies game I went to back at the end of June, completely different vibe. Because now that I think about it, I see the Cubs as being like having the same sort of vibes as the Reds did like back a month ago, 2 months ago. Because you have, Ellie De La Cruz coming up, and suddenly, are the Reds playoff contenders? Oh, because they're winning games. Oh, but like,
God, I hope. I feel like we're the right now. And
yeah, we are definitely
because like, y'all are playing good, and like beating Atlanta is a huge deal. But I would also like to remind that you all are in the NL Central.
Oh yeah, we are aware.
Which means we have a really good chance of getting a home game in the end of season tournament.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, I definitely got playoff vibes from Wrigley. Like, I saw someone on Twitter joke about this being the Cubs World Series or whatever. So like, it is like the vibes were like great, and thank you. I will like, I will say that I'm glad I didn't talk a lot of shit, because then I didn't get shit thrown at me.
Right.
So.
Yeah, there was a lot of shit talking from the Braves fans about Dansby Swanson. I saw a bunch of stuff, a lot of sour grapes there. Yeah, and you guys are a little bit used to winning right now.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not the Braves of the 90s exactly, but it's still been pretty good for you guys, and been in the playoffs every year. You locked up all your young players for a long time.
Yeah, what's that like? What's that like to like look at your team and go, we're going to see this group of wonderful young men play for this team for the next like 6 years
or longer?
Is the comparisons with the 90s Braves scare me, because the 90s Braves only won one World Series.
And
all the post
and you guys have already won yours.
Exactly. So that's just, it's a little concerning when people make those comparisons, because like, I see where people are coming from. I see people calling the 90s Braves a powerhouse. They were, however, they only won one World Series. And like, I hope that this squad of young Braves players goes a step further than that.
Well, I guess that's the question. With like everybody weigh in on this, but would you, and weigh in the chat, would you rather your team, because we're facing this right now, would you rather your team win just one World Series but like just not go to the playoffs for like 20 years, but be around for the one World Series? Or would you rather go to the World Series all the time and lose it? Like what would you rather have happen? Like, is it worth just going to the World Series, or like when you get to
What
it,
do you got there?
do you
IFG,
feel so horrible
Davey?
unless you win it?
Yeah.
I mean,
I know.
I started watching the Cubs in 1998, which was admittedly a really great year to become a Cubs fan. Sammy Sosa and Kerry Wood and a whole lot of exciting things going on. But it took 18 years to win a World Series. In 2008 was fun, but we didn't go to the World Series. That was a really fun year until it wasn't. And 2004, we all know what happened then. And the fact that it's like there were 3 chances where we could maybe probably have done something and then predictably failed. It sucks a lot. I like having a fun team. If I never have to have 2006 feelings again, I would sign up for that in a heartbeat, even if I never won a World Series.
Yeah. I mean, I obviously would have sold the farm for the World Series in 2016.
Sure.
But now that we've got that kind of in the background, I just want them to go. I want them to be good. They made 3 straight NLCS. They were in the playoffs all those years, and now they're not. And yeah, Lance Bloyd says going to the playoffs yearly alone should be what a big market team does. And Absolutely. That's the truth. Yeah, if they lose every time, but they're in the World Series or the NLCS and they're just there hanging around, I'd rather be a Dodgers fan, just always winning than just have one flash in the pan, which made me feel great. And then I feel terrible for the next decade and a half.
Exactly.
So basically you think it's worth it just to make the playoffs? I'm just more asking, the Braves, the 90s Braves, they just win the one. Do you look back at that?
In 03, Cubs fans flew from Chicago to Atlanta to watch the playoffs because it was cheaper than going to a playoff game in Chicago, because in Atlanta, they weren't actually filling out the stadium because they were kind of in that they never win.
Or we always win, but not enough.
Right.
Not at the end.
That's an interesting question, because Atlanta has a reputation for choking in big things. We don't have to 28-3 in football, the UGA national championship for a couple of years ago. And this Atlanta squad as well has a proclivity to choke. You look at the 2019 NLDS versus the Cardinals, which is scary to think about, and you have the 2020 NLCS with the Dodgers. The Dodgers are an interesting case because although they have this reputation for winning, they also have the sort of bridesmaid but never bride mentality, because they always choke.
And the one time they won was the one time that people give them crap about.
It was the Corona ring. It's the Mickey Mouse ring.
See, here's the thing that gets me is, and I know I've been saying it all year, but with the expanded playoffs, you have an actual incentive for teams to strive for 500. If you can say that you got into the postseason, you say you got extra baseball games at the end of the year, then that's all you need to try for. And then anything past that is bonus. And I really feel in my heart of hearts that 30 teams should be trying to win the World Series every year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's what 30 fan bases should expect. And that's what 30 fan bases deserve.
And based on the limited amount of numbers that we actually have access to, baseball makes enough money that all 30 teams should be going for it every damn year there shouldn't be these, Pirates teams that have, a payroll equal to the whatever they get from the luxury tax.
Yeah, but then the Pirates are just good enough to beat the Brewers, who didn't really add, and it's just like baseball's going to baseball there. So, which is why what IFG is saying is exactly right, which is the incentive is the 500 and swing it this way or that, because then you have a team like the Braves or the Dodgers or the Mets, who will talk to Uncle Mike or the Padres or one of these teams that spend a lot of money to make this thing happen. And it works only about 50% of the time. For the Braves, it's working this year. For the Mets, it didn't work. For the Padres, it didn't work, and maybe it'll work next year. I mean, it's tough to say. Like, would you rather be built? Like, I feel like we're built for the tournament. Like, the Cubs are a good tournament team. Like, if you've got your two pitchers, you can get through the wild card, and then you reset it, and whatever you got to do to get through to the tournament. You need a little luck and stuff. Whereas I think the Phillies were built for the tournament last year. That's a team that didn't do shit all year. And then they got to the tournament and they had just enough to get through these series and win, get hot at the right time kind of thing. So, I mean, I don't know if the bye helps or not. Does it help being the best team in baseball? The freaking Mariners won 116 games back in the day, was knocked out. It's like, it's rare that the best team in the year wins the World Series.
Right.
Yeah, prior to the Cubs.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say prior to the Cubs, any team that won over 100 games in a season had a losing, just didn't make it to the World Series.
Well, let me ask this question. The way this, and it answered in two ways. One is, Emily, are you worried about the Braves losing to a team like the Cubs, and that that this is like who they'll be, and like some stupid team like the Cubs or the Brewers or the Reds are going to knock them out in the first round of the playoffs because they don't, because they failed against us?
I'm not too concerned yet. I mean, it sucks to lose to a team that's over 500 right now. Because it's one thing if you lose to teams that are below 500, like earlier after the All-Star break when we lost a series to the Chicago White Sox. That's right. Embarrassing. That is embarrassing. So when you lose to teams over 500, it's less salt in the wound. Like I said, we have players that are injured that will hopefully be coming back soon. And I think with our upcoming stretch, it's the Pirates, it's the Mets. We should be able to rack up those wins. Hopefully, knock on wood, schedule doesn't mean, as we've seen, as I've experienced as of late, schedule doesn't mean shit when you lose games. Yeah. So I'm not too concerned yet. The Cubs are a good team. It makes sense that at least from what I've seen, they're good, or starting to
gel. We're gelling
yeah, exactly.
right now.
Starting to gel. So I'm not too concerned yet. But it will be more of a concern if we continue to be as streaky as we are post All-Star break.
And IFG, do you think that the Cubs are gelling in a way that you believe in after beating a team like the Braves?
I mean, this week has been fun.
It really has. I don't know if I could trust it because I got that Cub fan mentality of just we're going to go to New York and get swept.
I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop at this point.
We all are.
I can't really give you any more than that.
I mean, Michael, do you believe? Are you a believer?
I am a believer in the players. I still hate. I am to a point that I absolutely hate the front office and I hate management.
You hate Boog.
I hate how David Ross runs this team. And if the Cubs are going to continue to win, they're going to have to do it in spite of the adversity that they have within the walls of, their corporation, because the corporation is killing this team. They were all season long, and everything that we have been talking about as fans all season, get rid of Hosmer, get rid of Mancini, bring up the guys, let Morel play, do all these things. And they have now, it took them forever, But they started to do these things, and now the team is as good as it's been all year after all the things the Cubs fans have wanted. And that makes me think that the front office and the management don't know what they're doing, because we should not be smarter than them.
Yeah, it does feel like that.
Yeah, I have no idea what I'm doing. Why am I right about everything this season? It's driving me crazy.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna bring this up and I forgot. So on Friday. I'm coming back. I'm in the Orlando airport waiting to board this late Spirit flight, and I hear Danny, and I turn around and it's Cole Wright standing there. And Cole Wright is the guy who kind of hosts the pre and post game for the Cubs. And he was down watching his daughter in a softball tournament in Orlando, an All-American thing. So we sat there talking, and the Cubs had lost 8-0 that day. And I said, yeah, did you see that lineup? It was a little iffy, don't you think? Like, no Tachman, no, I don't know what they're doing. Morale didn't come in. Like, we're talking all about the things we just said. And he kind of was like, I don't know. I'm old school. He said, I'm old school about it. But to me, I'm like, you put your best 9 in there every day. Like, I'm not doing the righty lefties matchups as much. He's like, I'm just taking my guys who are batting the best that year, having good years, who are hot. The guy hits a home run that day. I'm not taking the day before. I'm not taking him out of the lineup. He's like, that's just me. But it's, pencil it in. Bellinger at first, Tachman in center, whatever you got to do, like put those best 9 out there. And that's not what we saw in that first game. So it's interesting that even he, as a guy so close to the team, traveling with the team, is kind of like, yeah, I'd do it differently too. It's like,
Emily, you're the perfect person to ask about this, because the Braves have been good all year and in first a lot. Like, when you are looking at the lineups day to day, and maybe you don't watch every single day, but when you watch, do you generally see the guys playing where you expect them to play, and generally in the lineup how you expect?
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes. I didn't realize this was a common thing for other sports clubs. Like, Matt Olson stays at first. That's where he belongs. Michael Harris too stays at center. That's where he belongs.
Are you sure they wouldn't like to try out like a little, shot at catcher, maybe shortstop?
I mean, maybe they'd like to. Maybe they'd like to, but I don't think Snicker wants them to.
Yeah. Well, we currently have a second baseman playing left field, a second baseman playing third base. We have a center fielder who's just as good at first base as he is at center field. We have a first baseman who's way better at third base. We have a third baseman who plays DH because they don't want him on the field playing defense, even though they let him play all over the field.
Anywhere but third base. Really.
Anywhere, like, he's a third baseman, but they don't want to play at third base because he's so good at playing everywhere else, apparently. And, so like when we are watching this, like when you're talking about like, oh no, these guys play, like every day I turn it on, I know who's playing second. I know who's playing first. I know who's out in center. Like, it doesn't change that much. We have to look at the lineup every day to see who's playing.
I'm pretty sure the players do too. They just wake up one morning and go, man, what position am I today? Which glove should I bring with me?
Oh, yeah. Like Candelario. We traded
didn't...
for the best third baseman in the National League, and they immediately put him at first base. And he's so not prepared to play first base that he does not have a glove, and he has to borrow a glove in order to play the position.
Did he borrow the first baseman's glove from our center fielder?
No, from Amaya.
From Maggie, of course. The catcher.
Yeah.
Who never plays first base.
He does not.
Yeah.
Even though he apparently has a first baseman's mitt, like,
yeah,
that means he expects like maybe he'd go over there. I don't know.
We
have no first baseman on this team. This is a baseball team without a first baseman, and it blows me away.
Yeah, Amaya did play
after years of having the best first baseman in baseball.
Yeah, now we got 17 of them.
Except none of them are actually first basemen.
Yeah.
This is so fun.
So, well, Emily, I hope we get to play each other again. Wait, we don't play each other again this year? We already played in Atlanta, right?
I
Yeah,
think you guys play in Atlanta later, if I remember correctly, because Dansby hasn't had his welcome home yet.
Oh.
Ooh,
I think at least. I don't remember them playing earlier this year.
I'm looking it up right now. We usually play Atlanta in April, but maybe this year we didn't do it. No, you're right.
September
Who knows
26,
with
27,
the
28.
MLB schedule is just as
No, we do
27th, 28th of what?
Of 26th, 27th of September.
Yeah.
We got a crazy last week. Atlanta and then Milwaukee on the road.
Okay.
So we got an easy schedule until
the last week
and
when we might be holding on to a one-run or one game lead or something.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a wild ending. I would suggest to everybody to get, if you want to go to that series up in Milwaukee, probably get your tickets now because those Usinger sausages are going to be flying off the grill up there. Let me tell you. So anyway, Emily, it was such a pleasure to have you on the Son Ranto show. We'd love to have you back because I know you love all of MLB. You watch a ton of different baseball games, and we didn't even get into half of what we got into just talking at the theater. But
I would love to talk about Dansby more because it's such a coming from the other side. It's not as black and white the reception Dansby will have. I think when he comes back.
Hey, I saw some people talking a lot of smack on Twitter, so it is going to be something interesting to watch, especially if we're still in it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be wild. But thanks for coming on, Son Ranto, and let's do it again soon, and we'll definitely do it in September before we face each other again. And this time we'll do a little preview, and we'll even have more smack to talk. So.
Lovely. I'm looking forward to it.
So we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back with Uncle Mike, who's actually sitting in his car. We're going to talk about the Mets, and then we're going to talk about some of the trades that the Cubs made to make an impact. But we'll be right back in 2 Shakes of the Lamb's Tail.
Thank you, Emily.
Thank you.
If you like the Cubs a bunch, buy your t-shirts from In the Clutch. We've got all the best styles for you. Dansby, Saya, Morel too. Clark Fly in his double U. Cody Bellinger smoking dupes. Vintage shirts from days of old. Patrick Wisdom and Nico. You'll look sharp wearing your stro. 10% off with the code SONRANTO. SONRANTO. InTheClutch.com is your store for the most fun baseball shirts on the planet. Don't forget to use promo code SUNRANTO to knock a couple bucks off your purchase. Stack or die, we need more cups. Get it all at In The Clutch. Cause if you like the Cubs a bunch, buy t-shirts from In The Clutch. Get it all at In The Clutch. Get it all at In The Clutch.
Welcome back to the Son Ranto show. IFG, you're the only one that made it back in time. Michael Cotton is, that's what happens as you get older. It just takes a little longer to do what you got to do.
I think we were expecting the second commercial.
Oh, yeah. No, we'll have another commercial after we talk to Uncle Mike, who I'll bring on right now. Uncle Mike, our Mets fan friend.
This is going to be brief. Okay?
Yeah. It's going to be brief, but I got to ask you, one of the most disappointing years in a long time. You lose your closer before the season even starts, but you still go out there and try your best, and it just didn't work out this year. What do you attribute the Mets' ultimate failure to?
Well, let me just say first, hello to everyone.
Hi, Mike.
It's Emily, right?
Allison.
No, Emily's.
Allison.
Yeah.
Emily left.
Yeah, Emily left. Yeah.
See, I'm a Met fan. What can I tell you? Hi, Allison.
Hi.
Cotton.
You
Mike,
guys
what's
never
happening?
met, huh?
Rocket. I don't know if we did. Maybe not.
I don't think
But
so.
For any event, I'm sitting in my car. I was testing it out before. Apparently, I'm on 5G, which is actually I think it's working okay. You guys can hear me, right?
Yeah, you're doing just fine.
Yeah,
Where
perfect.
y'all at?
I'm in LA actually. I'm in Inglewood. I'm outside of a friend's house. I came over to just relax and smoke a couple of cigars and then call it a night. But to get back to sports, what was your question?
Well,
We
why
stink?
did you guys fail so miserably? Why did I know you're trying to avoid the question here because I'm trying to talk about what happened with the
What, we
Mets.
stink?
You
Why
stink.
is Max Scherzer in Texas?
Yeah, why is Max
No, you know what?
like so
I'll be
many
honest with
trades?
you, because
Tommy
you guys
Pham
know.
gone,
Well, you guys know how I
Verlander
feel about
gone.
Max. Well, you guys know how I feel about Max. Like when Max was traded, I thought that he would get off the team and we would keep Verlander, and Verlander would be the automatic leader of our team, and we will go on this amazing run. Because I mean, as we speak right now, what are we like 7.5 games out of the wild card? So as a fan, you never give up hope. But I have to tell you guys, when we traded Verlander, I don't think I've watched the game since. The only connection I have to the New York Mets is through the writers at the New York Post, and you can only imagine what those guys are writing about right now.
Well, it's
Um,
interesting because, like, your owner comes out, Papa Cohen, and he said, we're not going to be relevant for like 3 years. He told that to everybody. He's like, we forget it. And what he did was he decided to eat the money. He's eating the money on most of these contracts, and he bought prospects from
right,
other teams by eating the money. So, like,
right,
you get rid of Tommy Pham, you get rid of Justin Verlander,
yep.
uh, the Dominic Leone and Cash to the LA
Robertson,
Angels. Uh,
Robertson,
yeah, yeah.
who was our
Robert
closer. He was our
David
closer. We got rid
Robertson.
of him.
Mhm.
Right. You got rid of him who you got to replace your injured closer, Edwin Diaz, who
Right,
never made it
right.
out. And then you got rid of Mark Canha, gave him to the Brewers. I mean, just
Tyler's gone.
everybody completely cleaned house, which
Gone.
kind of makes, I mean, Papa Cohen, I'm kind of looking at that. I'm like, that's kind of the way to do it. All right. This didn't
Absolutely.
work. Strip it down to and then let's go back out there and eat the money because Lord knows Papa Ricketts ain't doing that. Papa
Oh
Right.
yeah.
Ricketts, no, we're getting lottery tickets. We're saving the money, but that's
Right.
not what Cohen did, and that's what's interesting to me because you've got guys now. You're stocking. You're instantly have a good farm team.
Well,
Instant.
and it's really smart too because he's investing in the future of the team in a way that other teams are not doing. In that he's like, yeah, I'll give you millions of dollars right now so that we
Right.
make sure that we get all your best prospects, so that you can
Yeah.
load the farm system with the best prospects from around the league. That really does make sense. That if you're gonna do it, like
Right.
really go for it.
Yeah, and I
Buy
love what he said. He's like, I consider that money spent. I agreed to pay this guy this much
Yeah.
money. That's done. That's just it's a rounding error in my checkbook. It's fine.
As a Yeah, Allison, you're right, and I agree with everything you guys said. And the fact of the matter is, obviously, it didn't go the way it was planned. You go by two Cy Young winners, multiple Cy Young winners,
Mm-hmm.
and you bring them to New York of all places, where it could be one of the better places to play baseball. The Yankees suck. So the Mets have an opportunity to own this town, and it's a Met town anyhow. I have to tell you guys, it really is.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
agree.
But it just didn't work, and it's just disappointing on a lot of levels. But in the aftermath, what did we lose, like 7 games in a row now? So it's
Mhm.
like we're sort of just like, I guess we're forced to think about next season. But again, we're 7.5 games out of the wild card, so who knows?
Well, and there's a question in the chat here from Alfie says, "Hey, Uncle Mike, how much should Cohen pay Otani?" And I'd like to add on to that. I don't think Otani goes to the Mets now. I think the
No,
Mets are out of that running
no.
because they're not going to be ready to compete right now, and that's what he's going to want to do, I think.
Well, let me just add to that, and then I'll let you guys answer as well. The Angels will be foolish to trade him. I mean,
Well, it's over. They're keeping him for 3 months.
I think it would be, it would be devastating to that franchise if they trade that guy. He's just, we haven't seen anything like him in a really long time, and he's the team. So why trade away a team? I'm not quite sure where they are in the standings or what, in terms of making it to a wild card, but
I think they're in like third place in the West.
yeah, like third place. But you can, being out here in LA, and Anaheim's right down the freeway from here. There is some excitement here with Angel fans about what's been happening, and they're like, Trout's just a couple of days away. He's not, maybe a week away. So they get Trout back in the lineup, man. Who knows? They might possibly make a run.
It's really weird how that team has just continued to struggle, even with some of the, I mean, two of arguably the best players in the entire league. But then, it's not like the whole rest of the team are nobodies. Like they just haven't. And I don't.
Well,
man, that's the most interesting team
Anthony
out there.
Rendon $245 million to do literally nothing. Like, when was the last time you even saw that dude?
They made mistakes. They've never had pitching.
What my big question with the Angels is, what is this season for? Because they decided not to trade Shohei, which means they don't get anything for him if he decides not to sign with them in free agency. And then they burn down their farm team to make a push for this season. So if they don't do it this season, they're definitely not doing it next season or the season after that. Yeah, so what's really the incentive for Shohei to sign with them long term? Because at the end of this season, Lucas Giolito's gone. He's going to free agency.
Yeah,
I think somebody else. Anyway,
Allison, I understand your point. You're making great points there, but again, I see it as, I mean, things haven't been exciting for Anaheim in a really long time. So at some point, I haven't heard that he wants to leave. Until he comes out and says, "Hey, you know what? I'm unhappy here in California." I would think management will like to keep him because, if anything, he puts butts in the seats.
Yeah. Well, there's the Angels have every reason to want him to stay, but he has said straight out with his own mouth that he wants to prioritize winning.
Oh, he does.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's done damn near everything a baseball player could possibly do, except win the Cy Young, which he totally should have, and gotten a ring.
Yeah.
And if nobody's going to put a ring on it, he's not going to want to go there.
Yeah,
and gotten a ring. He hasn't gotten a win.
He hasn't had a batting a championship yet either.
Well,
that'd be amazing if he got both of them.
That's what I'm saying.
Same year,
going, right?
Cy Young, yeah. Let's give it all to him. But I think the interesting thing for me is because the way that Papa Cohen's throwing around all that money, I think the Mets were on the top of the list of somewhere that if they were to have succeeded and maybe kept some of this team together, that he would have been on top of the list. But since it went so poorly, it made them kick the can way down the road, and it takes them out of the running, which makes me as a Cub fan feel like a little bit better about our chances, because now we just move as to what, because I think we're still on the list. I do believe that we are part of the conversation with Ohtani, and for the Mets to be seemingly out of it, it kind of makes me happy. So that's probably
make the list a little shorter.
I think I might have said this in the prior show, but I'll say it again. Somewhere, your guy, Stroman, and Taijuan Walker, who's just having an amazing season with the Phillies. Those guys must be just laughing at them, just be screaming like, "You fools!" Like, how did the Mets let those guys go?
Can I show you something even more foolish about what's happening? There's a couple of giveaways coming up. Here's one that's this week. You're giving away, just to remind everybody that baseball season is over for you. They're giving away on Wednesday a Mets football jersey. So, so you can already know,
which is amazing because it's a football jersey for a team that doesn't exist in a city
What?
that only has teams by
Whose
name.
number
only.
is that? Whose number?
Well,
It's
it's
just
the-
this year, love.
It's the year.
Oh,
Yeah.
how corny is that? That's so
Yeah,
corny.
I had the same idea, and then I was like, "Oh yeah."
I
was
don't know
like,
anything
Sandra?
about football, but I am from New York. Is that a Giants
Oh.
jersey?
No, that looks like a Florida Gators jersey.
Yeah,
Yeah, it does like the Gators. You're
Yeah,
absolutely right.
no
Or-
New York.
or
There's not a
what's
New
the
York
team,
football team with those
Boise
colors.
State. Or
Well-
Boise State.
Oh boy, that's a good call, Boise
Right.
State for that blue. Yep, I'm with you on that.
Well, can I ask another question? I don't really watch
Yes,
much
sir.
football, but the numbers are on the front in football.
No, this
Oh.
is totally cornball. Rocky.
They're on both
Okay.
sides,
Oh,
Danny.
okay. All right.
This is
Yeah.
corny.
You know,
I can't believe we're
I
even doing
I
that.
did always say that my dad loved me enough not to make me a Mets fan, and this year is just driving that point home.
It's disappointing. Allison, it's so disappointing. We won 103 games last year. We went out and got arguably one of the best pitchers in MLB history.
Yeah,
And what happened, man? Like, what the
just
heck?
the wheels
happened?
fell off.
Lord
Yeah,
have
well,
mercy.
I'll tell you what might have happened, and next week's giveaway at Shea Stadium will be a reminder to what happened right before the season even started. But they're giving away this bobblehead anyway. It's the Edwin Diaz trumpet bobblehead
Oh, that hurts.
that's going out next week. So, like, you- can you imagine people lining up for this thing? 15,000 fans walking away with, unfortunately,
Just the saddest reminder.
yeah.
I kind of want that, though, to be honest.
I do
want
too. Send me one.
Well, you're in California, so maybe you could get one of your friends, buy them a ticket, and they could get one too.
Yeah.
But just like Edwin Diaz, by the time it got to you in California, it might be broken.
Yeah, that's a good line. See, I knew when I came on the show today, I'm prepared for all the smacks in the face and the kick. Just kick me down the stairs, will you?
It is a rough one here. I mean, you got to be happy that the Cubs beat the Braves 2 out of 3, right?
Let me tell you something. I'm and I'm not. You guys know me. I'm not a hater, and to flip it a little bit, I like where the Cubs are right now. And I'll root for you guys. I have no animosity against the Cubs. No, do I against the Dodgers either. I'm out here in LA. But I like the Cubs. You guys got a fan in me. Okay, so that's where I stand.
Well, we could use another one. I mean, there's more than I'll send you a hat, and maybe if we go to playoffs, we'll have you on the show. You can wear a Cubs hat for once. But it's like
maybe we'll find a Cubs hat with New York Mets colors.
Interesting.
Like the
Well,
blue
we
exists.
share kind of the blue colors. We share that kind of.
Yeah.
Well,
so.
I was looking for reasons why I thought you might have failed, and I wrote down some of the stats that were going on. I mean, but really, the only thing that stuck out to me was some weirdness. Is you had the sixth, you were 11th in homers, but 6th in batting average, like 6th worst, 11th best in homers, so it's kind of middle of the road. But 6th worst batting average. So you're just not getting like base hits. You're getting home runs, but what is nobody ever on base, and so you don't score. And also, you have the 11th lowest runs scored with that lineup, that you were throwing out there. So that was a little bit of a surprise to me that you had no offense. And then the other thing that stuck out to me was negative 21 defensive runs saved. Negative 21.
Damn.
So the Cubs are plus 25. And so that's a huge swing in that. Anyway, you don't throw out any runners. It's a stealing year where lots of bases are getting stolen and they're not. So I was like looking at it, if you had to think of something to improve and make your team different for next year to even be in the conversation, what are you looking for, like, as you look towards the future?
I think maybe our offensive philosophy has to change a little bit. I think we might have to get back to a small ball game because those hitting home runs with either no men on bases, or we did. If my memory serves me right, we did a lot of back to back. I remember it would be back to back to back. with no one on base. I think perhaps, and I don't know if Buck is up for this challenge. And I have to say, I don't dislike Buck Showalter, but he has not been lucky at all this year, man. I mean, last year, every move he made is in terms of pitching, bringing relievers in and doing the double switch and all that fancy stuff they do now in today's game. This year, it was just terrible. It was unlucky. It didn't work. But to answer your question, perhaps we get back to a more of a small ball philosophy. Get to men on base. So let's circle the bases a little bit. But it looks like we were swinging for the fences a lot this year, and it just didn't work out.
Well, and I think that's what happened to the Cubs there for a little while too. Back when Theo said that our offense was broken, it was literally everybody up and down the lineup was swinging for the fences. Nobody was trying to set the table, and you have to have sort of that, that balance in your lineup. You have to have some guys who just take walks and get on for the other guys to hit them home.
Hey, Rocky, do me a favor. If you have the stats in front of you, let me know like how many runs do we give up to opposing teams? Because
well,
there were some games that was just brutal. I mean,
I can tell you this much: your team ERA was 4.43, and that's below average. With when you've got two aces on your staff is a little surprising.
Right.
And Kodai Senga, which we will face this week, he's still with the team. We're going to face him, I believe, tomorrow. Smiley versus Senga.
Smiley versus the ghost pitch.
The ghost
fork.
Ghost fork, yeah.
The ghost fork. Woo!
But yeah, and your bullpen is the 8th worst right now. 4.30 ERA. The Cubs have moved up to average. They've been doing a little bit better. But you also haven't been throwing your pen that much. Like innings pitched, you're the 7th fewest innings pitched. And, the Cubs or the Mets didn't have a very good bullpen, but it seemed like you were supposed to be built for being better than you were. And it just, for whatever reason, didn't work out. It's never clicked for you guys. And it is a tougher division, but Jesus, our expectations were a lot higher. And I know yours were.
Oh, absolutely. It just seemed like it just all fell apart. And there was, I think, the month of July. If we scored more than 5 runs in any game, it was just brutal. We just went on this dead. No one can hit. The polar bear couldn't hit. He stopped hitting home runs. It wasn't until after the All-Star break that.
Who's the polar bear?
Pete Alonso.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know that was his nickname. I thought maybe you were calling Dan Vogelback a polar bear because literally
this size, right?
This size of a polar bear. Yeah.
It seemed like the month of July we were just.
He also eats seals.
He eats seals. It's been like, honestly, I have a really good friend that we text back and forth. He's a diehard Met fan like I am, and we just stopped texting each other.
It's like, I'll catch you next year when there's something to talk about.
Dan's reading, brother.
It used to be, you text, oh, look at this. Even during the losses early on, we're still optimistic. But like I said, when I was surprised that we got rid of Verlander. I thought in the back of my mind, I was keeping the hope up, like, oh, this is going to be okay. We got rid of Max. We'll be fine. And once that happened, and like I said, Connor happened, and
how dare y'all send him to the Astros?
Yeah, cheating.
But you know what? I'll say this about Steve though, and this is what I'm thinking as well. I think Steve was sort of like, you know what? These guys are veteran pitchers. They've been through the long haul. They have long careers. They deserve to go someplace where they have a chance to win.
Sure. And I think Scherzer said as much with his own mouth. He was like, look, what are you guys doing this year? Seriously? Let me go.
Right.
Yeah, let me get out of here.
And Verlander was so gracious. I read his comment. If you guys read his comments, he had a press conference after the trade. And he was just so gracious. He said some really positive things. Like, he didn't go out, like hating. He was like, you know what? Things just didn't work out, but it didn't mean that the locker room wasn't what's the word? The locker room was still positive, I guess is the word.
It's interesting that those two guys go to division rivals battling for the top spot right there too.
Yeah.
That helps me. I'm happy about it. Better than them being on the same team. Thanks.
Yeah, just wow. Well, here's who you still got left.
Who's left?
Smiley versus Senga. So, I mean, to be honest, that looks like a win for you guys. You know, at Senga, I don't know. He's got the ghost pitch, and we've got Drew Smiley, who hasn't been doing great. Then we got Tyone versus Carrasco. So you still got Carrasco. And then it's Kyle Hendricks, who didn't do great the last time he pitched for the Cubs. And,
well, he had 3 perfect innings.
Yeah, 3 perfect innings, and then they just rocked his shit. Like they rocked him. Started,
and then Atlanta
that was the
had
one game we won,
inning.
though. We only won one game in that series, right?
Well, no, this is like against the Braves on Friday.
Braves.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, he had a 7-run fourth, and so he just kind of blew up, gave up a bunch of home runs. But yeah, Hendo versus David Peterson, who wasn't David Peterson, the blind mayor of New York. Wasn't that the same guy's name?
No. That was David Patterson.
Patterson.
So close.
Yeah,
It's been Corey's cousin.
And he was the governor of New York State. He was lieutenant governor, and then he was actually the governor of New York State. He wasn't the mayor; he was the governor.
Oh, the governor. Okay.
His father, Basil Patterson, was a long time political senator of the Assembly of New York State, and David Patterson.
Okay, so he's not the guy that's pitching on
David
Wednesday.
Peterson, he's been up and down. He's been down. He was down, and now he's up again. He went down. Now he's up. I guess they brought him up again, huh?
Well, it sounds like they had to because you traded your entire team to all the other teams. So, but yeah, so it's
40% of that pitching staff is gone.
Oh God.
So the Mets are in disarray. They're probably pretty beat down right now. I'm hoping that the Cubs can keep rolling. You know, we'll see how things go. I'm feeling at least. I don't like the Smiley game tomorrow. I don't like the Smiley Senga game for the Cubs, but we'll see. We just got to keep winning 2 or 3. Keep eating that meatloaf.
Just tell your guys to visit the food court in Citi Field. It's absolutely incredible.
Ah, yeah.
I miss the sausages with the grilled onions. That's what I miss about Citi Field.
I have to say is you guys get a chance. I know it's one of the best stadiums in the league. So
I have not been there. I went to Shea the year that they were getting rid of it, right? So people forget that the same year that they tore down Yankee Stadium, they were tearing down Shea Stadium as well. But nobody cared about Shea. They were just like, yeah, let that thing go.
Yeah.
My first baseball game was at Shea Stadium.
Oh, wow, cool.
Yeah, I barely remember it. I was very little, but I do remember seeing the Apple, so somebody must have hit a home run.
Yeah.
Do you remember
I remember I almost
what team
died.
you watched?
Not a clue. I think I was 4.
Yeah, okay.
So, well, you know, good luck to you. I know it's going to be a couple years, but it won't be a couple years before we talk to you again. You know,
a couple of years. Come on, guys.
No. We'll have you on the show even if your team is about to get relegated by next year. We'll still have you on. We love you.
Okay, let me ask you a question real quick. Does Buck Showalter last the rest of the season?
Through the rebuild is what my question is. He's a great manager.
Does he last though? Because New Yorkers they got to blame somebody about this. You know what I'm saying? Someone's head's got to roll. Someone's got to catch the blame for this.
I'm trying to look up what his contract says.
Well, the thing about Buck Showalter is he's an old school guy, and all the teams are going a different way than that right now. And
so this is his last year on his contract.
There you go.
So yeah, I don't know. It says he signed his 3-year deal in 21. Oh, December 21. So he's got one more year. Next year will be his last
year. It's going to be interesting. I'm not putting it out there to say he should go. But I know everyone. I just know how New Yorkers and New York fans and the New York media. It's going to get there. At some point.
Yeah. Oh no, it's probably already there. The New York Post every day is probably making some horrible pun about the Mets. Like, like start spreading the poos, or something like that, So, well, thanks for coming on, Uncle Mike. We'll let you go and then visit your friend and smoke your cigars and all that stuff. But we'll have you on again. But we'll do an off-season episode. We'll listen to some music or something like that.
I appreciate it for what do we say now? The Xers? It's not Twitter. The tweeters anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still calling it Shea Stadium, so we're gonna I'm just gonna die calling it Twitter.
Yeah.
So for the Xers out there, it's Bill's Kid at Bill's Kid on Xer.
Yeah, follow Uncle Mike at Bill's Kid, BILLSKID.
Yeah, Instagram as well. But for Xers, I'm getting a kick out of that. It's Xers now. Okay.
Well, I think you're supposed to zeet now. So, well, we're gonna take.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. This is a
thank you, guys and girls.
Oh, thank you, Uncle Mike.
See you next time.
See you. We'll be right back, and then we're going to give away the Amazon prize of the month. So we will be right back.
Hey, Cubs fans, at Amazon.com, do you buy lots of stuff? Why not support the Son Ranto Show by shopping through sonranto.com/stuff? All you gotta do is fill your cart at Amazon with lots of stuff. Then before you check out with all of that wonderful stuff, head on over to sonranto.com/stuff and click any of our Amazon links before you buy your stuff. Check out like you normally would with all that beautiful stuff. And the Son Ranto Show will get a small kickback because of the stuff you bought. And you'll be helping the Son Ranto Show buy all the stuff we need to stay on the air talking about the Cubs and other stuff. Plus you could win a monthly prize if some of your is chosen for Amazon stuff of the month. And if you win, we'll send you more stuff. Sonranto.com/stuff. That address again is sonranto.com/stuff. And we are back. What a star-studded show we're having today. We have Billy DeVore on from New Nasty Boys. Then we have a new guest, Emily, who was awesome and loves her Braves.
She's great.
Yeah, and then we have Uncle Mike on. We really brought the show down though. I think, a little bit.
He was a little depressed about the Mets for sure.
Yeah, but that's all right. But let's bring the show back up, and we will give away the Amazon prize of the month. So what this is if you go to sonranto.com/stuff and you buy things that you would normally buy on Amazon, but you use our search bar, well then your items, I don't see who bought what, but I see what got bought. So each one of these numbers, number 1 through 55, corresponds to an item. So there's 1 through 25. We've got zip case, queen size bed cover. We got, just random stuff. Looks like a butter tray, that somebody
Whoever
bought.
bought the tens unit, let me know how you like it.
The tens unit. I own a tens unit. It is awesome. I can definitely. It had helped me with rehabbing my my elbow. But anyway, what all of these correspond to a number, and there are 55 total numbers that could win. So why don't we take a look at this and see who wins? I'm spinning the wheel.
No whammies.
I'm a little concerned it's going to be Artie Boucher again.
Yeah, he just wins all the time. Number 20. Number 20 is the winner. And by the and so let's see what number 20 is. It is, oh my God, it is what I just said. The zip case, 90 inches by 108 inches, queen size, something or other. I imagine that is a bed mattress cover. So whoever bought the mattress cover you are the winner of this cute little thermos, and I will send it to you. All you have to do is contact me at sunranto@gmail.com or sunranto at Twitter, and I will send you this cute little thermos.
Yeah, you can sit that little guy right on the side of your bed. And when you wake up in the middle of the night on your zip case queen bed, whatever that thing is, you'll have a little a guy
little
that suck fluid out.
And if you spill your little drinky drink, your mattress will be protected by your queen size mattress protector.
Perfect.
It's all working out together. Congratulations on winning. Hashtag chance in the chat to get the message of love and doom sent to you by me. So just real quick, I just thought we have to, because the trade deadline ended and we didn't do a show, but we got some fancy new players. The big name really that we should talk about is Candelario, who used to be on the Cubs.
Apparently still likes being part of the Cubs. Like, he's been playing great since he came back.
He's been freaking awesome. But we gave up DJ Hertz, a lefty pitcher, and shortstop Kevin Made. And so it was, people are saying like, hey, those guys were Rule 5 eligible. It looks, we might have lost them anyway. But Candelario, I put up his numbers here. I mean, since he's been a Cub, and this does not include today's numbers, by the way, which I think had 2 hits today, or at least 1. But look what he's done. He's got it here up. Actually, let me put up his actual numbers because this does include today. 1.545 OPS, 1 home run, 4 doubles, 12 hits, and 21 at bats. That's a 571 batting average.
Yeah, we'll take that.
So, I guess it's kind of
he's slugging 905. That's hysterical.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like, I know the prospect perverts were pretty sad about DJ Hertz. A lot of people like,
you know what? They needed to be pushed into a cold shower anyway.
Here's my only concern with Candelario. And that's that he's a rental. He was a 1-year deal for $5 million. He was basically doing the discount thing that Bellinger did this year. He wanted to build his value back up so that he can hit the trade market and get something better. Will the Cubs actually go after him? I mean, it would make sense because we don't have a third baseman. I mean,
he's decent and probably fairly cheap. Like, let's maybe do that. Or, see how he plays out the rest of the year, of course. But I wouldn't be mad if they picked him up in the offseason or extended him before then. Yes, please.
I would only be mad if that was their decision for first base.
Yes.
I'll put Candelario's numbers. Yeah, he didn't even have a mitt. I'll put his numbers up there. It's not great. I wouldn't say that doesn't have a lot of pop. He hits a lot of. He's a doubles hitter. He played in Detroit, which is a kind of a giant outfield. I don't know if that helped out his double situation, but
he had a really down year in 2022. 217, 272, 361 slash line. That's not good. 633 OPS, 82 in the OPS plus for 2022. And Detroit let him walk. It was a non-tender situation. So they got nothing for him and they didn't care. They let him go. And that's how Washington picked him up for, I think, $5 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he had a resurgent year, and so we're the benefits of we're getting the benefit of that right now, which is freaking awesome. But it is a rental situation. I wouldn't mind them bringing him back, but it would, what would we ever do with Nick Madrigal?
Gee, I don't.
Alfie Campos says it was still better than Bryant's 2022.
Hell yeah! And then the other trade that kind of made me sad, but Nelly V. Went to Nelson Velasquez to the Royals for Jose Quas, who pitched today and has been actually nailed since he came in. He gave up some hits, but he's a hats right guy. So it's like where we had Pedro Strop with the hats left, we all tweeted that and put our hats left and took pictures. Now we got to put him to the right.
I'm not ready to go hats right. I want to see what he's got to be one of the greatest relievers in Cubs history before we start jumping on that bandwagon.
So, here's Kwas's numbers. Not just a cup of coffee, really. He's been up since 2022, so that's just last year. He was with the Royals, and they're not very good. So he had an ERA in 2022 of 3.58, and this year he had a 4.54. And we traded for this guy, so they must have seen something. He kind of has a funky delivery, which I kind of dig. Is that it's a different look than our other guys, but we kind of needed a lefty. Wasn't that what we talked about last week? That, maybe we'd go get one of those Rockies guys. The Braves went and got Hand. He was one of the dudes we were talking about. And then we didn't get one, though. We got Kwas.
Yeah, that was strange. They clearly do not like Nelson Velasquez at all. They're clearing him out to make way, I guess, for PCA, right? So that there's not even a question anymore.
I mean,
they better be right on it.
If Kwas ends up being a guy and Nelly V ends up being a fourth outfielder, then we kind of win that trade because and we did need help in the bullpen, so we did get some of that. If he can come in, but I don't know if he's real help because he's got an ERA in the fours and he was pitching for a bad team. So, he's not been in high leverage situations until today, where he did quite well. I think he gave up a hit.
Right. He throws that sidearm that I don't know. It's like that feels like it works for a minute, and then all of a sudden people start destroying it. Unless he's just really good. But if he was that good, we wouldn't have gotten him for Nelson Velasquez, probably.
Well, we sent down K. K's gone. He sucked in garbage time, and they put him on the Iowa Cubs, and then they brought Caleb Killian up from Iowa, who's never really had any success. I'll put up his numbers. In Iowa, he had an ERA near 4 this year, and with the Cubs, he had an ERA near 19 in his only one game that they gave him. But it was kind of a continuation of last year when he didn't do well in 3 of his starts. So he's up to help the bullpen. So you've got K gone, Killian back. Cubs also traded Manrod, which I was kind of sad to see.
I was so sad to see Manny go.
Yeah, but it wasn't really working out for him. I saw his numbers at Iowa. It wasn't going that well. It didn't go that well. He gave up a lot of home runs at the major league level, even though he threw 100. But I was sad about it.
But on the other hand, if the Tampa Bay Rays want him, you probably shouldn't give him up.
Well, the Tampa Bay Rays might be able to do something with him. I don't know. He's a pitch lab dropout or something.
Well, especially because we also gave them Adrian Sampson, who also wasn't doing very well either, which I wasn't really that sad about that. But we got this guy.
I totally forgot Adrian Sampson was even on this team.
Exactly.
After the success he had last season, you really thought he was going to be something, and then he never got it together this year.
So here's who we got. Yeah, he's the Keegan Thompson of Adrian Sampson's, but of Alec Mills's is. So this is a big long list for this guy because he's 27 years old and still in the minor leagues. This is who he traded. Now this is maybe a non-consequential trade. This guy, because we also got, and this might be the big part of the trade, international signing bonus pool space with Josh Roberson. So maybe that's the real prize here. And we get Roberson, who in his 2 games that he's pitched with Iowa since we got him, he's given up 6 runs.
No, I'm not.
That's a lovely ERA of 27 for those following.
Yes. So, which actually lifted his ERA from 4.50 to 5.68 since he's been a Cub. So welcome to the Cubs system. Here's a run on your ERA. Congratulations. So we got that guy. I don't know if he'll ever make the major leagues, but he's a righty too. So I was like, whatever. The only thing I thought about, we don't have a lefty, so we're just going into this whole thing.
Literally nobody now.
Yeah, now there's not one. It's Mark Leiter Jr. and that's it. And
Go with God, Mark Leiter Jr.
I mean, Quas, people were like, "Oh, he's a splits guy." I'm like, I guess, kind of.
Is he though? Is he?
People were saying Bailey Horn might be an answer to bring him up. I've heard tell of him, but they would have
a good name.
I'm a fan, but
I believe he was in Spaghetti Western back in the late 60s.
Yeah.
Background character in Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Levon Cleef killed him 4 times in 3 different movies.
Bailey Horn was a round 5 pick from the White Sox, 142 overall. He's not on the 40 man, and this year he has a 4.53 ERA. But he throws with his left hand. I mean, the strikeouts are there. He has 61 strikeouts in 45.2 innings. So he throws with his left hand. But, so maybe he could be an answer if somebody to come up. But anyway, we don't really have anybody that throws with their left hand. But that's maybe a conversation for another day when we see how this plays out. I do want to play one more commercial and then watch, and it's for our friend's show, Mike, who does the Cubs PS Plus podcast, but he made a fun little commercial, and we'll come back, and I want to talk about the Steve Trout saga continues, unfortunately, and also we want to talk a little bit about some fun with Seiya in the dugout, so we'll be right back.
Well, and pour one out for Mike Waller, because Mastrobuoni is no longer on the Cubs.
Mastrobuoni, another one that's gone. Oh, and Trey Mancini.
DFA. Oh, did you not mention? Yeah.
No, I did not mention Trey Mancini.
That was maybe the most surprising thing to me, because they are going to eat the rest of this year and the $7 million for next year. But yeah, they bailed on him finally, and we've been saying this for a long time now. Again, super surprised, because they do not have a first baseman on this team anymore. That is their first position. I mean, obviously Bellinger, I think, is a really good first baseman, and I feel like he should be there more often, because Tauchman is having a career year, and you let that guy run for right now. I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, now that we don't have a first baseman, did you like the idea that they moved Candelario over there before they even gave him a shot at third base? I
would like very much for us to have a third baseman whose job it is to play third base. I think that would be great. I would like it if we had a first baseman whose job it is to play first base. I'd like for us to have a left fielder whose job it is to play left field. I would like for anybody to be in a position where they feel comfortable and they go to the ballpark knowing what position they're going to play that day.
Yeah, I feel like that you have Bellinger at first would work great for me, except for that he's so damn good at center, so you really want him out there. You feel very confident with him leading the charge out there in center field. What I really want to see a lot of, because it feels like the team just simply succeeds when he plays, is I want as much Mike Tauchman as I can get right
Absolutely,
now.
Absolutely, 100%.
And I'm shocked to even say that, because I'm like, oh yeah, Mike Tauchman's on this team.
Right. I just feel like say out loud with your face, Cody Bellinger is this year's first baseman, and Mike Tauchman is this year's center fielder, until one of them starts sucking at that position, and then you adjust from there. But damn it, make a commitment.
Yeah, and Tauchman played
define the fucking relationship. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, Bellinger is absolutely the best center fielder you have, for sure. But I don't know what the defensive numbers are. But are we going to start losing baseball games because Tauchman's in center and Bellinger's at first?
Well, what's
I really
hilarious?
don't feel like that.
What's hilarious is that Miguel Amaya actually had a first baseman's mitt, but they never let him play over there, and he never even fucking plays. So what the hell, just like, hey, he just keeps bringing it, and he brings it in the locker room. He's just sitting there with his
I mean, I know
He's
he
a fat
played a
kid at
little
the
bit
end
of.
of the
I know he
Little
played a
League
little bit
bench.
of first base in the minors when he was rehabbing from like his ankle or his wrist or whichever injury it was. But like, because he's had a big struggle the last few years coming back from various injuries where he just could not catch on his way back, and they wanted to make sure that he was seeing baseballs and hitting as much as he could. And so I know he played a little bit of first base. Cubs minor league system tends to like putting catchers at first base anyway. So I know Miggy has had some experience there. That being said, this team going forward, maybe Pete Crow Armstrong is a thing.
Yeah.
If Pete Crow Armstrong comes up and is a thing, then he's going to be in center field.
And Belly will be at first.
Maybe then we just have Cody Bellinger as a first baseman, which will be fine because he's not getting younger.
Right. You may as well give. I mean,
just like define the fucking relationship.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I agree. And if you think that PCA is there defensively, I mean, yeah,
He definitely is there. Well, the question is like, how much longer are they going to go with this? And when you do bring PC up, who goes? Like the next one on the bubble is probably Patrick Wisdom.
No, Barnhart. Patrick Wisdom has use.
So they're
Barnhart, I cannot believe is still on this team. Like,
he's
how
not
in the
a
hell
Major League Baseball player.
do they decide to get rid of every first baseman on this team, but they're still carrying a third catcher who is terrible? Like, I don't understand.
Well, it's because you might need him to pitch. And that's if you look at his numbers. 1 inning pitched, a whip of 1. It's pretty good. Holding opponents to a 250 average, 0 ERA. It is 1 inning of work. Only give up the 1 hit this week, so he looked good out there.
Yeah, and personally, I think Tauchman is doing fine in center field, and I have no problem keeping him there for the meanwhile, until if the wheels fall off and Mike Tauchman suddenly doesn't start looking as amazing as he does, and he's not robbing game-winning home runs anymore, then adjust from there. But like, I don't see any problem with saying out loud with our face that Cody Bellinger is the first baseman and Mike Tauchman is the center fielder until further notice.
Yeah, that first game, Candelario had an error over at first. Jitters, probably not a big deal, but that run, because of the error, the run did score, and then later, you had Madrigal boot a ball because he was over at third because Candelario was at first, and that led to a run later. So, I mean, you had 2 runs in that game that were directly attributable to this defensive lineup. And then today, you had another situation where Madrigal amazingly made a very strong throw over to first base. It's just that he pulled Candelario completely off the bag, and it was an error, and you don't have that if you have Candelario over there and you have Bellinger where he's at. I think you just shore up both of those spots, and Tauchman is a good enough defender out there that I think the 2, corner infield spots make up for whatever you lose in center field.
And the guy we're leaving out of this conversation is Seiya Suzuki, who has struggled mightily at the plate. And so, and then Mike Tauchman played right field today, and he did a pretty good job. So,
which means then you have space for PCA, because there's no reason. I don't know what, like, at least.
Yeah, I mean,
they are in a run right now. They're in a little bit of a run, so maybe you don't want to make that change with the young guy right this moment. But I personally am a betting guy, and I'm like, yeah, let's throw that guy out there and see if he sparks this team.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll see what they do. I mean, you know how they are with starting the clock on guys. And, also Pete is a lefty bat. I'm looking at his numbers right now. He's here's his slash: 280, 364, 880. That's they brought him up to AAA, so it seems like they're doing it. He hasn't done anything there yet. He's only batting 150, but he was so good at AA that he got the promotion for the second part of the year. He does have a home run, and I think it was an opposite field shot. I think I saw that going around Twitter. But Dominic asks, Have we given up on Mervis already? Guess so.
I have
For this
not.
year.
I don't think defensively he is not as good as Bellinger,
Yeah.
but there's room for him on this team to maybe work with Bellinger and have a little mentor situation, and then you can put Bellinger in center more often, and then you have a Mervis at first, Candelario
Mervis
at
sucked
third.
when he came up. Nah,
What?
Mervis sucked when he came up. I don't think we need him this year. Let him deal with his shit,
I do think he needs time to cook still. I was really excited for him, and I really do hope that he becomes a guy, but I don't think he was quite ready. He wasn't ready for the spotlights.
Yeah, it really did feel that way, and I don't know that if you're going to compete this year. If you're not competing, fine.
Yeah.
If you're just like want to try everybody out and it's like extended spring training and listen, I'm not pulling out my fall training hat this year.
Right.
My spring training hat with the fall, I'm not wearing that right now. I'm wearing a fun festive hat because I'm in a good mood. And Matt Mervis, we don't need to like have freaking fall training tryouts right now. We need some real shit going on. That's why they went and got Candelario. I don't know that they did enough to shore up the pen, but either way, we should take that commercial break that we were going to take 15 minutes ago and play the Cubs PS Plus commercial and talk about Steve Trout and Seiya, but we'll be right back.
Do you ever find yourself longing for long walks and talks about catcher metrics? How about a coffee over run differential? Maybe a candlelit dinner dissecting what exactly is the curious case of Miles Mastrobuoni? If you have, I have just the place for you. The Cubs PS Plus podcast. Come join us. Cubs PS Plus, a Northside numbers game, can be found wherever it is you get your podcasts, and on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, all at Cubs PS Plus, a spin on the baseball metric OPS Plus. Are you ready? I'm ready. Here we go.
Hashtag Chance in the chat if you would like to win the Frank Chance postcard sent to you by me with a message of love and doom. And we're going to hang out for a little bit if this show doesn't go into hour 4 at some point. We will have some time to go hang out over in the Discord, but you got to be a Patreon member to do that. So patreon.com/sunranto. So Seiya Suzuki, we had a little fun this week. I wanted with a baseball. I asked you if you knew how to put a Mai Tai guy's face on who is he screwing around with? Was it Bellinger?
Madrigal. I think.
Well, let's play the video because I want to see it again.
Yeah. A ball. He kisses it. And then he gets taken away and he's crying. And then he gets it back and he's so happy again. It's adorable.
Who's that took it away, though?
I don't know his name. I wish I knew his name, but I don't know.
If anybody knows who that was, yeah.
Some coach guy or other.
Yeah. It wasn't Willie Harris, is it? Because I always see him wearing a hat. So Seiya gets the ball.
That could be Willie.
I don't think it is.
I don't know.
Isn't Willie Harris older than that? I got to go look at the
How
picture.
cute he is.
I know what Willie Harris looks like. I'm going to look up Willie Harris now. But I thought Willie Harris was older. Oh, no, that is Willie Harris. Absolutely was
That's
Willie
definitely
Harris.
Willie Harris.
All right, good. All right, well, I'm glad I knew. Kind of. So, that's what should have put Mai Tai guy's face on Willie Harris.
I just love that we get to see a little bit of Seiya being, vintage silly goose Seiya. I know that, like, I know him as really funny Seiya. I actually queued up his, those little lineup videos that they sometimes put up on the board at, so they do those a lot in Japanese baseball as well, and I have Seiya's old lineup video from when he was on the Hiroshima Carp, and just take a look at this really quick.
That's great. he's dancing all crazy, and he's
Then he's like hands over his eyes, like goggles, just rocking back and forth, and
then he does like
all
walk
crane stance.
and he does like a crane stand. Yeah, walk. It looked like walk like an Egyptian.
Yeah.
That old Bengals video. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like with Saya, it's like it's nice to see him having a good time, but like he's sitting there with Willie Harris, and I wonder if that's like, I know they're working on his head placement, and like there's something going on with him because he's really having an off year. And last year wasn't great either. He has become a little unplayable based upon the performances of a Mike Tachman. They had Patrick Wisdom even out there the other day. Yeah. He's losing playing time, and he's expensive to be doing that. And I'm not ready to walk away, but the Cubs seem to be. They're like, listen, you're not good. Like,
well, and it's bled over into the defensive side of the game as well. He isn't as good over there defensively as we had hoped. And that's really, as we saw for the many years with Jason Hayward, like if you're not going to be good at hitting, you have to at least be really good in right field. And I don't think he's really done that. Like he does a few good things out there, but I don't know. Tachman does just as many good things right now.
And I feel for him. Like it's got to be hard. You spend 9 years in a league where you're playing with people that you went to high school with, and you've grown up with these people, and you were on the national team with them for the entire time, and you're really, really good, and you're known for being really good at what you do. And then you come over here, and the only person you have that you can really talk to in your own language is your interpreter, who is not a baseball player.
Yeah. Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah.
It's got to be hard. It has to be hard on anybody. And, I believe really strongly in the mental game of baseball. And I think that might be hitting Saya a little bit harder than you see some of these guys.
Well, do you know what I think he might need? We should buy him a Steve Trout pillow mitt. I really think.
Oh, I thought we should buy him his best friend from high school, Shohei Ohtani. But sure, a Steve Trout pillow mitt might help.
Well, you know what would help even more, I think, is Mike Trout. I think he would love to have Mike Trout on the team.
He would so love to have a Mike Trout around.
So I got to explain what's going on with this. So I ordered a pillow mitt, this pillow mitt that's being enjoyed in this photograph by Steve Trout there. It looks so comfortable. And so I ordered this pillow mitt. It's $25. Steve Trout says he never got my order. And so, I contact the credit card company, do the whole thing hey, never got my order. And I never hear back from him because like, that's not a thing. Like you either got to say, I didn't buy this or I didn't get it, or you're either disputing it or not. So Steve's like, I never got the order. So now I got to dispute the thing. It is just proof. You see, there's my charge, $25 to stevetrout.com. And here's my dispute. Transaction. I have now disputed. I have a temporary credit on this thing. And it's only because Steve wrote me that rude text when he was like, I didn't get a single order from being on your show. And it's true. None of you guys ordered the pillow mitt because,
Well, in my defense, I know how to sew a circle, and I know what store he bought that fabric at.
Well, maybe we should,
make IFT pillow mitt.
And in the defense, in the defense of the Ranters, we were struggling that night with a lot of the Ranters just like maybe not liking Steve Trout.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think he could have sold a pillow mitt out there at all. But he did sell one, and we know he sold one to you, Danny.
Yeah.
And
I didn't even get it.
And then he chose
so
not to fulfill that order.
Yeah.
Well, somebody order the pillow mitt and send it. No, seriously, order the pillow mitt and send it to Wrigley Field to Seiya Suzuki for $25, and we'll see if it actually gets to him. And maybe when they're interviewing him, we could just like every time they show his locker, we'll see if the pillow mitt's in there.
Yeah, that would be amazing if they actually gave him the pillow mitt.
So I do have to say, I'll get off the Steve Drop pillow mitt, but we'll see with the saga. I'll let you know when I get the money back. I'm still thinking that I'm going to try to get another pillow mitt sent to me. Maybe if I get the money back, I will reorder the pillow mitt from Steve so that he could use the money for his January 6th defense.
Will someone out there who has the most medium amount of skills make Danny a pillow mitt? He'll give you $25 for it, and we won't have to deal with Steve Trout ever again.
So I want to say again, we're doing a contest, Bleacher Bum Band video contest. And shout out to freaking Wrigleyville Bum. Joe has been pounding out the videos. He's got the old album. He's got the new album. He's doing song after song after song on and he's posting them on Instagram and everything. Let me just play you a snippet of what he did for the song Old Style, because this is the guy to beat right now. He's got video.
Old style. Old style. Old style. Through that turn of the last century, across Wisconsin, 200 miles from Milwaukee, and it's Wales, Wales, Wales. Old style.
So, I mean, I'm a sucker for video of myself doing things. So that's what Joe did. So, no, but he's getting he's amalgamating all these photos and videos that he took at the show that he's taken off my Twitter and other places on the internet. And he's just like putting all these videos together. And like, he must have done 15, 20. I think he's taking the Artie Boucher winning the poetry contest approach to winning this contest. But let me sweeten the deal. Not only will I write a song as the winning prize for the occasion, but I'm going to include a Justin Steele autographed 8x10 photograph as well as part of the prize for the video. We have the winner will be announced as soon as the season's over. So that'll be what, sometime when does the World Series end? November?
Something
the Cubs
like
win the World Series, and then you could win that thing.
Oh, and I saw just recently that the Cubs have a concert scheduled on what would be Game 7 of the World Series.
Well, we're not getting home field. You know what I mean? But like, it's kind of sad that there would be like, that like Pink would be playing the night that, that everybody would want to be down at Wrigley, and then at least make it be Pearl Jam or something like that. Then have a Pearl Jam concert, show the game, Pearl Jam's playing. Like, that would make some sense because he's a Cub fan.
I'll have to look it up to see which one it was, because somebody posted that it would have been the.
So in the meantime, I do want to continue to sell this Shalbum. I am wearing the shirt right now, the Bleacher Bum Band shirt. It is still for sale. I'm running out of sizes. So if you've ever thought that you wanted to buy this, you should. I'm going to drop the link in the chat. And you should get it. I will send you one I'll even send a message of love and doom on a Frank Chance postcard to anybody that buys the Shalbum right now. That's the going deal. So you can get it at sunranto.com/bleacherbumband. Also, we are going to, I'll be going to Wrigley Field on September 20th to celebrate our dear departed Dan Nielsen's birthday. I'm going to drop the link to the chat in this. There is a Facebook event. It seems like a lot of people are going to be coming. We're just going to celebrate Dan's life. I bought the video board message today, $150, and you only get 40 characters. I didn't even have room for his dates.
Oh, that's rough. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, but it's still worth it. We'll get his name on the board and stuff. We'll all hang out and pour one out for good old Danny boy. And, Dominic says Game 7 is the same day as Iowa versus Northwestern football game at Wrigley.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay, because I was looking at concerts and I'm like, yeah, I'm not seeing anything here. The Iowa Northwestern game, yes. So that's an interesting. Yeah, exactly, an interesting choice.
So, it's time for TFCs, but I see there's a video in the chat that says cop tries to shoot ball.
Okay, so this was mine. This was mine. This is the best flexing cube I could come up with. So in the Orioles game last Sunday, the
God.
Orioles ultimately won 5-4 over the Miami Marlins. Anthony Santander hit a home run. And the home run, as home runs do, flies out into the crowd. It comes really close to this police officer who gets taken aback and instinctively reaches for his service pistol.
This is why you don't need to have guns in crowds.
Wait, could you play that again?
Oh, yeah, play that again.
Yeah,
I just have to say, I'm just glad for the crowd the ball was white.
Oh, nice tag. No, if you show that again, though, like I'm not even seeing him necessarily reaching for his gun. He's slapping it away like it's a
yeah. So he backs out
butterfly.
pretty quickly out of the frame. But if you take a look, I wish I could slow this down.
Yeah, look at his right hand. You can pause. Like, let me try to pause it at the end.
All right.
Oh, I couldn't do it. Never mind. But it looks to me like he's going for his revolver. Absolutely.
It's an embarrassment.
Well, that's a good start to the TFCs. It really is, though. So I've got a bunch. Like, I'll see, but I'll start here as long as we're at cops grabbing guns. So I love this story is that there is the Cardinals rally runner was arrested on January 6th charges. So apparently this guy, I guess he's like a famous Cardinal super fan known as the rally runner. And he was on the front lines of the mob that stormed the Capitol on January 6th.
My gosh, all of our jokes are true.
Yeah. It's like I'm not even trying to make it funny now. It's just, this is just what's happening in the world. This is who they are. And, it's very sad for them. So
yeah, it's sad for all of us, really, that guy exists. Okay, so I have this is on the Anthony K demotion. Found this out on Reddit. Airham says, "Man, that's a brutal pill to swallow for K. He was our only left-handed reliever and one of very few bullpen arms that would definitely have been available for today. Everything was working in his favor in terms of keeping his roster spot, other than not being good."
That's the same reason I'm not a relief pitcher for the Chicago Cubs.
Exactly. I have all those things going for me as well. I'm just not good.
Well, it makes me think of how I'm always mad when they're always doing the lefty righty hitting matchup. Maybe I shouldn't be so concerned about not having a lefty for the pen. Maybe I should have that same energy. I'm like, well, really, it's more important that they're good. Maybe you move Smiley to the pen eventually or something like that. Because
you need to manage the Cubs because somebody needs to get down there and tell Ross it's more important that the player out there is good than that he hits right or left-handed.
Yeah, no, I think that's true. So here's something something weird happened on Twitter. So
besides Twitter falling apart.
Yeah. So I write, I'm talking smack on Twitter, and I say Patrick Wisdom mic'd up is about as interesting as looking at my toe. And then Don't Give Up Keep Something says, I wish I could suck on your toes to tell you the truth. And I was like, whoa, that escalated quickly. And so I click on this person and, oh no, Don't Give Up, Keep Pushing is their name. They kept changing the at TC Link 86. Go follow them right now because their location is your mother's basement. But they've been around 74 followers, have been around since 2015. I'm like, There's some creepy ass Cub fan shit going on. They
We
want
need to be getting these people's money somehow. This is how we.
And what we were talking about before. If they know anything about you, they know you've had gout. I don't know if you want to go to the toes right away. Start with a finger.
Look, hey, you know what? People be into that.
Yeah, I mean,
gout sucking.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it on my only dance.
There you go.
Yeah, it's just wild. There was a wild week. You know, the Cubs start winning, and they all come out of the woodwork. That's all I'm saying. I got nearly 10,000 followers. It's out of hand. It really is just it's the people are coming out.
You got
the toe suckers.
And
hey, I love it. You know, if that helps the Cubs win, you can suck my toes off all game long in the bleachers
for a reasonable fee. Don't be giving that stuff away for free.
But when Cubs are winning, it's the luck thing.
I'll tell you right now, I know I would love it because when you get a massage sometimes and they rub your toes when you're getting a massage. Oh my God, that is wonderful. And I can just imagine somebody doing that in some sort of a sexual way, which would be excellent, except for this. I wouldn't do that to somebody. My toes are not in a good state, and I just wouldn't do that to them I would want them to leave afterwards. I wouldn't be able to look them in the face again.
You're actually turning my stomach right now. Because the whole idea, like I have very ticklish feet. Like you cannot touch me on my feet. I will kick you right in your face. You know, so the fact that this person is going to suck my toes is just like really just, now that I've talked about it too much, I'm feeling a little squeamish. The cat is here. So
I guess that means it's time to go.
It's time to go. So I've got one more TFC here, though. That Tim Anderson fight last night was just out of hand.
Oh, God, that was fun.
It was really just Twitter just erupted. And this was one of my favorites from Henny. And it's the picture is, is it Andrew Vaughn or is that who's carrying Tim Anderson away?
That's what it looks like.
Yeah, it's Andrew Vaughn's carrying Tim Anderson away, who was kind of like, if you didn't see it, he'd go look at it because he got decked and he hit the turf.
Yeah, he looked like he went down not of his own volition.
Yeah, but then he kind of like faked wanting to go back and keep fighting. Like to me, it seemed false. There was so much in that fight. Like Eloy got hurt, but people were speculating that he really just didn't want to play the rest of the season. Like it was
Eloy gets hurt every time anything happens.
Yeah. So anyway, the caption that this person put of Tim Anderson getting carried away was, "This is how Scooby would carry away Scrappy Doo whenever he picked a fight he wasn't supposed to start." It's true.
Oh yeah.
But
man. That was amazing too, because it looked like a hockey fight in that he took his glove off. Like that's what you always see in hockey fights. They take their gloves off. Well, he took his glove off and then he squared up with his fists up. It was amazing. It looked like he hit Ramirez twice, and then Ramirez hit him once, and that was enough for Tim Anderson.
Just like
my alarm clock. Time for work. I love that right there. This is a picture of Tim Anderson throwing a punch at Ramirez, and it's the alarm clock. Not a big deal, but the Ramirez punch to Tim Anderson is time for work. You gotta go. That's good.
I mean, that's just the White
Sox.
And
then me right back to the alarm clock. 10 more minutes. Pow!
I mean, the White Sox, though, oh my God, like what a crazy, terrible year they're having. Like, it's got to be frustrating. Like Tim was already having a bad year, and Artie writes in, tell him that you'll let him suck on your toes, but need to pay in advance so you can get a pedicure. See, there you go.
Oh, there we go.
That's just all I want is like people touching my feet more. Oh. So anyway, that's the show. So we got to give away a chance postcard sent to you by me with a message of love and doom. It's your last chance to get into it. And I'm going to press the button right now. Bump, Bum, bum,
Let's
bum,
go!
ba-da, ba-da, bum, 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 ba-da, bum, ba-da, ba-da, ba-ba. Hope Captain Charisma wins. Dude. Ooh, it's Dominic.
Dominic Galoro, a multi-winner.
That just increases his chances for winning the end of the season prize. So
a whole bunch of stuff.
In a red bag. So that is the show. I'm feeling very positive about this team. So I'm going to play a song called We Are the Cubs. I'm willing to spend about a half hour hanging out over on the Discord. Going to get me a icy cold beverage. And thanks for tuning in.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for sticking with us this long. I'm not going to be able to go over there because I do have to go and get ready to go to bed because tomorrow I am taking my son to Oklahoma so that he can start his life. He is of that age. He's moving on to college tomorrow. And
good luck to him. And good luck to you driving to Oklahoma.
Yep. So I'll be down in Oklahoma tomorrow. If anybody's around, give me a shout because there's nothing to do down there as far as I know.
Where the wind comes sweeping down the plain, Oklahoma, and the waving wheat, it sure smells sweet.
Good
It
night,
would be
everybody.
really nice if they just played that like when you push the button for the crosswalk while you're waiting, it's just playing Oklahoma.
You know we belong to the land. Spagog!
Spagog!
Tune into 670 on my AM radio. The Cubs are gonna win today. We'll be singing Go Cubs Go. Let's hear it for Chicago, the world's greatest fans. We'll have a ball and catch it all on Clark and Addison, singing Chicago fans, we are the Cubs. Whoa, 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 we are the Cubs. Sunshine in the bleachers, ivy on the wall, in the stands with all the fans, it's great to see you all. Take me out to the ball game, take me out to the crowd. The Cubs are gonna win today, everybody sing it loud, singing Chicago fans, we are the Cubs. Whoa, we are the Cubs. Let's go out to Wrigley, hot dog and a beer. We believe in the Cubbies, it's gonna be our year. Let's root on the players, let's cheer on the team. And in the fall we'll party like it's 2016, singing Chicago fans, we are the Cubs. Whoa, 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 we are the Cubs. We are the Cubs. We are the fans. Whoa, we are the Cubs. We are the fans. We are the Cubs. We are the Cubs. We are the fans. We are the Cubs. Whoa, we are the Cubs. We are the fans. We are the Cubs. Chicago fans, we are the Cubs.